The Sidhu clan was one of the Foundation establishment clans under the banner of the Heaven-burning sect. A Foundation establishment clan, as the name suggests, always had Foundation establishment cultivators presiding over it. Should a day come when there were no Foundation establishment cultivators, they would be demoted to a chi refining clan. Conversely, successfully condensing a golden core would elevate them to a golden core clan. Xuan found it somewhat surprising that the Sidhu clan had once been a golden core clan. However, over time, their talent had dwindled, and 300 years ago, they had already degraded into a Foundation establishment clan. Even though the Sidhu clan was no longer a golden core clan, they still possessed the arrogance and haughtiness to justify their position as the rulers of this land. Most of the cultivators in the Golden Lake Market were from the Yu Kingdom. With the Heavenly Seal sect gone, those roaming cultivators and minor sect cultivators had no choice but to rely on the Heaven-burning sect. As a foundational clan under the Heaven-burning sect, the Sidhu clan naturally stood above them. The former Golden Core clan must have had profound foundations. Perhaps they possess the condensation core technique and body refining arts that I seek. However, they are unlikely to willingly hand over their treasures to me. I will have to take matters into my own hands. Xuan sighed lightly. If the Sidhu clan were willing to offer up their treasures voluntarily, why increase the cycle of killing unnecessarily? But before taking action, I must first investigate the strength and foundations of the Sidhu clan. I cannot afford to waste time and spiritual chi on a fruitless endeavor. My time is precious. Xuan continued to stroll through the Golden Lake Market. The stall set up by chi refining cultivators naturally did not catch his eye. However, he still bought some spirit plant seeds as supplements. Afterward, Xuan left the Golden Lake Market. There was too little intelligence to be gained from this market. He needed to go to larger markets where Foundation establishment cultivators frequented. However, not long after Xuan left the Golden Lake Market, he sensed someone tracking him. Interesting, I've actually been targeted by a bandit cultivator. Xuan couldn't help but smile. A bandit cultivator, one who lived by robbery, was also a demonic cultivator. And yet, this great demonic cultivator of mine has been seen as a fat target by a little demonic cultivator. Xuan continued on his way, unhurried, until he arrived at a secluded grove of trees, where he finally stopped. A cold chuckle came from behind him. So this is the burial ground you've chosen for yourself, it's quite secluded. Xuan turned towards the sound and saw a middle-aged cultivator with a lean figure. The man's face showed a ferocious gleam, clearly regarding Xuan as a lamb to be slaughtered. Xuan smiled faintly, you intend to rob me? The bandit cultivator chuckled, I've been searching for targets for several days, and among them, you caught my eye the most. You bought spirit plant seeds, it seems you're a farmer. I've killed plenty of farmers. Heh, these cultivators are timid and weak, with low strength. Even if the loot is meager, it's still meat on the bone. Mosquito meat is meat after all. Heh, don't struggle in vain. I'm at the 5th level of chi refining, you can't possibly be my match. If you discover this narrative on Amazon, be aware that it has been stolen. Please report the violation. Xuan clicked his tongue in amusement. It seemed that in the future, he mustn't appear too ordinary, lest he attract the attention of bandit cultivators. He raised his hand, and with a swift motion, pinched a plump little insect between his fingers. The insect's sharp mouthparts writhed as if capable of devouring everything. With a soft pop, Xuan exerted a slight pressure and burst the little bug. Spiritual chi enveloped his palm, preventing any of the insect's fluids from touching him. He chuckled lightly, is this your tactic? A brain-eating bug? The bandit cultivator's face paled, and he immediately turned to flee. His secretly released brain-eating bug had been effortlessly caught by the other's bare hand. He had robbed many cultivators before and could easily tell who was strong and who was weak. This man was definitely not as weak as he appeared, a mere early stage of chi refining, likely a much higher stage. However, no sooner had the bandit taken his first step than he collapsed to the ground with a thud, his mouth filled with dirt and weeds. He tried to stand, only to find himself utterly weak and limp, like a strong man who had wandered into a den of female demons and had been thoroughly drained. He instantly realized what had happened. He was poisoned. Footsteps approached. The fat sheep he had eyed was now standing beside him. Chu Xian's eyes flickered with a purple hue as he activated his soul-capturing gaze and began to interrogate. Name: Yan Peng. Level: Qi Refining, 6th level. Chu Xian smiled. This fellow had just boasted of being at the 5th level of Qi Refining, a lie, evidently meant to keep an edge up his sleeve, guarding against his fat sheep also being more than he appeared. Little did this bandit realize, the supposed fat sheep was not in the early stage of Qi Refining, nor the late stage, but the latter stage of foundation establishment. Chu Xian continued his interrogation, asking about everything except embarrassingly juvenile indiscretions. He eyed the man with keen interest. Impressive, you even have a small group. This person was previously a demonic cultivator from the territories of Imperial Spirit Mountain. During the war between the Heavenly Seal sect and the native sects of Wu province, he had migrated to Wu province, hoping to profit from the chaos of the conflict. A few demonic cultivators banded together for warmth, founding a small group known as the Golden Lake Gang near the shores of the lake. They engaged in activities like selling information, ambushing cultivators, acting as enforcers, and performing blood sacrifices of mortals. Recently, some unexplained blood pearls in various markets across Wu province were traced back to small demonic groups like theirs. They moved like the wind and could easily disperse and reassemble, making it difficult for the Heavenly Seal sect to capture them. Yan Peng, being the highest in cultivation level, had always been the leader of this small group. This made Chu Xian consider Yan Peng's potential utility. Gathering intelligence in disguise himself carried risks. What if he encountered a golden core, especially one who recognized him? Yan Peng, with his intelligence, strength, and control over a small group, was an ideal source of information. Without much ado, Chu Xian took out 2 goo worm eggs and activated them with spiritual qi before smacking them into Yan Peng's mouth. By then, the latter was gradually recovering from the effects of the soul-capturing gaze. Moments later, in a panic, Yan Peng looked at Chu Xian, continuously kowtowing and pleading, Senior. Senior. Please spare me. It was mere greed that led me to offend you. Consider me as nothing, just let me go. Chu Xian smiled, I need someone to serve me, and you seem suitable. Yan Peng paused, then quickly groveled, it's my honor to serve you, Senior. Whatever your command, just instruct. I, Song Fei, will move heaven and earth to fulfill your tasks, even if it means climbing mountains of blades or descending into seas of fire. Chu Xian smirked, you're called Yan Peng. Yan Peng awkwardly laughed, yes, my name is Yan Peng, oh, look at my poor memory. His eyes darted about as he thought, as long as he could secure a way out, he would agree to anything, after all, he could always run, legs were attached to his body. See the novelfire.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Chu Xian chuckled, I fed you a 5-organs goo. Yan Peng's color drained from his face. As a seasoned demonic cultivator, he was well acquainted with various goo worms. The 5-organs goo was particularly suited for controlling subordinates. The 5-organs goo swims within the cultivator's organs. Not only does it typically not harm the cultivator, but it also nourishes and strengthens them. However, once the master of the goo remotely activates it, the 5-organs goo will start to devour the organs frenziedly until it has completely consumed the cultivator's innards. The 5-organs goo is exceedingly costly. Were it not for a shortage of funds, Yan Peng himself had planned to use it to firmly control the demonic cultivators of the Golden Lake Gang. To be honest, Yan Peng was somewhat skeptical, wondering if the other party was deceiving him. Chu Xian chuckled, don't believe it? Let me have it bite you as a test. He snapped his fingers. Immediately, Yan Peng felt an intense pain inside his body, as if he had been bitten. The pain was so severe that he rolled on the ground, curling up like a red-hot shrimp. Yan Peng cried out in agony, I believe. I believe. He quickly accepted his fate, murmuring, from now on, you are my master. Whatever you want me to do, just command me. Xuan smiled slightly. My demands are not complex, just gather intelligence for me. The information I most need now is regarding the Sidhu family. I want to know the strength and foundations of the Sidhu family, and nothing must be omitted. After stating this, Xuan casually added, don't try to dissolve the 5 organs goo, because besides it, I've also implanted another goo in your brain. I won't say its name, to spare you the constant worry and prevent it from hindering your work. Yanpeng shivered. The other person was no fat sheep. He was a far more terrifying demon. Yanpeng managed a strained smile. Master, rest assured, I will serve you diligently. Xuan tossed him 3 pieces of a link stone. Crush a piece when you have important intelligence, and I will find you. Yanpeng was full of questions. How would they exchange intelligence? Where would they meet? These details were not specified, but he dared not ask, fearing to irritate his new master. Xuan waved him off. Go now, do your work well, and you'll reap the benefits in the future. Yanpeng's eyes lit up, and he nodded repeatedly, yes. He hurriedly got up and scurried away, clearly motivated. Xuan, as usual, took several detours to ensure no one was following him before heading north back to his previous cave dwelling. Outside Golden Lake Market, within a small fishing village, 4 demonic cultivators of the Golden Lake gang convened. Naturally, their leader was the lean middle-aged cultivator, Yanpeng. The other 3 were a stubble-faced man, a glamorous female cultivator, and an old bald man. The stubble-faced man spoke in a deep voice, Boss, why did you suddenly summon us? Is something urgent? Yanpeng cleared his throat and solemnly declared, Brothers, we're about to prosper. Today, I encountered a senior demonic cultivator. He took us under his wing and wants us to work for him. Unauthorized content usage. If you discover this narrative on Amazon, report the violation. He even promised me that once the task is done, advancing to the late Qi condensation stage won't be a problem for all of us. If our aptitudes are good enough, we might even glimpse the path to foundation establishment. After hearing this, the stubble-faced man, glamorous female, and old bald man widened their eyes in astonishment. As Qi-refining cultivators with average aptitude and no background, they had chosen the path of demonic cultivation. Now, a senior demonic cultivator was willing to mentor them. This was a tremendous opportunity. However, amidst their joy, the 3 immediately grew wary. The glamorous female cultivator spoke seriously, Boss, could this be a deception? Maybe he's using us as fodder. Yeah, demonic cultivators are ruthless. I would know, being one myself, the stubble-faced man muttered disdainfully. The old bald man nodded in agreement. Yanpeng smiled faintly, don't worry. The senior cultivator doesn't intend for us to charge into battle. He just wants us to gather intelligence. Our current focus is on the Sidhu family. The 3 cultivators' eyes lit up. Gathering intelligence was something they excelled at. How about it, are you in? Yanpeng smiled. We're in. The 3 replied simultaneously. Yanpeng laughed heartily, good. This determination is what we need. Once this is done, we'll live comfortably without any worries. Yes. I obtained information about the Sidhu family through Yanpeng. If the Sidhu family is destroyed, it may attract some attention from the heaven-burning sect. There's a chance someone could trace it back to me through Yanpeng. As a precaution, after the task is completed, I should send them to the Temple of 5 Organs. Bao should enjoy feasting on live humans. They should have the resolve to selflessly dedicate themselves. If not, I'll help them find it. Xuan stroked his chin, already planning the rewards for Yanpeng and his group. He hoped they wouldn't be moved to tears by it. Well, that would be rather embarrassing. Xuan returned to the array to continue his cultivation. See the novelfire.net * website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. In the blink of an eye, Xuan had been cultivating on Blue Star for 10 months. With his diligent efforts, all his auxiliary cultivation techniques had made significant progress. Turtle breath technique reached the 2nd level. Body-protecting golden will decree, reached the 2nd level. Boiling blood true technique, 1st level. Soul refining technique, 3rd level. However, his main cultivation technique, the blood evil demon refining scripture, progressed slowly. It was still at the 8th level. Xuan also found a place to stimulate the corpse tied with ultrasonic waves to replenish the blood refining corpse fire. This peaceful life didn't last long. Xuan's heart stirred as he took out the link stone and noticed a new crack on it. It seems we've obtained important intelligence about the Situ family. Golden Lake Market. Yan Peng, clad in a light blue Daoist robe, swaggered along the middle of the road behind the Situ family cultivators. Accompanying him in similar attire were 4 others. The cultivators on either side sneered at their arrogant demeanor. The Situ family cultivators were notably fewer in number. To manage the various districts and industries, Situ family cultivators were constantly reassigned, and manpower was becoming scarce. Therefore, they had to recruit local cultivators for their use. Upon learning of this, Yan Peng promptly applied under a false identity. Given his formidable strength, he swiftly passed the scrutiny and became an enforcement cultivator in Golden Lake Market. Leading the enforcement team was Situ Chui, an elderly woman in the late stage of qi refinement from the Situ family. Through discreet investigations, Yan Peng discovered that she was fond of alcohol and harbored dissatisfaction towards the main branch of the Situ family, being from a collateral branch herself. Using alcohol as a pretext, he approached the elder cultivator and won her favor. Taking advantage of her drunken state, he continuously gleaned various information about the Situ family from her. During this period, he truly uncovered many secrets of the Situ family. Thus, he promptly crushed a piece of the link stone. However, where was that senior demonic cultivator? Why hadn't they arrived yet? Just as Yan Peng was pondering this, he suddenly felt a sharp pain in his internal organs and collapsed on the spot. Situ Chui, the captain of the enforcement team with her snowy white hair, was alarmed and quickly helped Yan Peng up. "Little Peng Peng, what's wrong?" Situ Chui asked with concern. Yan Peng waved his hand. "Miss Chui, I'm fine. It should be due to excessive cultivation. I just need to rest for a while." Situ Chui breathed a sigh of relief, casually instructed 2 people, and imperiously said, "You two, help little Peng Peng back to rest and then return to the team." "Yes." Moments later, Yan Peng lay in the enforcement team's dwelling. Situ Chui, utilizing her privileges, had assigned him to a room saturated with dense spiritual qi. The 2 enforcement team members departed together. Shortly thereafter, a voice resonated beside the bed. "You are quite astute to have recognized my presence." Yan Peng opened his eyes and immediately saw a nondescript black-robed cultivator standing by the bed, the very senior demonic cultivator. He quickly got out of bed, knelt on one knee, and spoke softly, "Yan Peng, at your service, master." "The master had the 5 organs go bite me lightly, so I knew it was you." He paused, then continued with flattery, "As for my cleverness, it is merely trivial compared to your profound wisdom." Xuan waved his hand dismissively. "Tell me, what have you found out?" Yan Peng relayed the intelligence he had pried from Situ Chui and the additional information the other 3 from Golden Lake Gang had gathered through different channels. Xuan's expression turned peculiar. "That Situ Chui, she must be around 70 years old?" Yan Peng blushed slightly. "Actually, I have a taste for such." Xuan nodded, showing respect and blessings. He casually tossed a large blood pearl over. "Well done. After the task is completed, wait for me in the small grove where we first met. I will grant you more." Yan Peng, holding the larger, purer, and more polished blood pearl, was filled with awe. So large. So pure. Is this the great demon? Indeed, he had chosen the right person to follow. Thinking of the sumptuous life ahead, and reaching the pinnacle of his existence, Yan Peng's whole body trembled uncontrollably. When he regained his senses, the senior demonic cultivator had already vanished without a trace. Elsewhere, Xuan was already heading south aboard the Green Shadow Shuttle. From Yan Peng, he had gathered extensive intelligence on the Situ family. The Sidhu family indeed possessed a superior body cultivation technique. The realm of body cultivation differed from that of chi cultivation. There were no distinctions like chi refining, foundation establishment, or golden core. Instead, it was body cultivation first layer, second layer, third layer, endless. If one must make a comparison, the first 10 layers of body cultivation were akin to the chi refining stage, and the 11th to 20th layers comparable to the foundation establishment stage. Subsequent realms followed this pattern. The levels of body cultivation techniques were classified into 4 categories: low, medium, high, and top. Unauthorized content usage. If you discover this narrative on Amazon, report the violation. The Sidhu family's superior body cultivation technique, known as the giant elephant refining technique, was said to be a fragment of an ancient method. But that was merely hearsay, without factual evidence. Nowadays, with the decline of body cultivation and the prominence of chi cultivation, the giant elephant refining technique was seldom practiced and gradually forgotten. As for the condensation core techniques, the Sidhu family did possess one, but it was only a mid-grade technique. Xianxia the novel, ir.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Of course, a mid-grade condensation core technique delivered to one's doorstep should not be refused. Xuan always treated every selflessly devoted individual equitably. Plain City. Disciples from the extreme Yin cave migrated and established this city among mortals, which has now become one of the largest cities within thousands of miles. A rather ordinary young man walked along the main street of Plain City. Before long, he arrived at a luxurious and imposing mansion. The plaque above the mansion's entrance was emblazoned with one gilded word, Sidhu. So this is the Sidhu family. Quite magnificent, the young man marveled. He was Xuan. According to the intelligence obtained by Yan Peng, the Sidhu family's main headquarters were located here in Plain City. Initially, Xuan was somewhat skeptical. He had thought this place was merely a branch. However, after walking around Plain City and hearing discussions about the Sidhu family, he learned that the Sidhu family had indeed relocated their entire clan to Wu Province Plain City in the Yu Kingdom. It turned out that the Sidhu family had been marginalized by other foundation establishment families in Yu Kingdom. Upon learning that the heaven-burning sect had effortlessly conquered Wu Province from Yu Province and half of Jin Province, the Sidhu family made a ruthless decision to relocate their entire clan. There were few large cities in Wu Province, and most of the current cities were established by the Heavenly Seal sect after their conquest of Wu Province. Among these cities, Plain City stood out in terms of both size and population. Therefore, the Sidhu family selected this place as their headquarters. In other words, the accumulated heritage of a foundation establishment family spanning hundreds of years was now concentrated here. At the main entrance of the Sidhu family, there was not only a large gate but also 2 smaller side gates. However, before Xuan could step forward to enter through the main gate, the side gate immediately swung open. A stretcher covered with white cloth was hurriedly carried out and rushed towards the city outskirts. Xuan clicked his tongue in wonder. He had already heard about this incident from the people in the city. It was said that the third Miss Sidhu of the Sidhu family was beautiful and voluptuous but arrogant and tyrannical. She particularly enjoyed forcefully taking handsome young men as her concubines. However, once she discovered that their physical attributes did not match her expectations after a few uses, she would immediately castrate them. If the castration caused the young man to scream in agony, she would personally kill him. As a result, every few days, corpses could be seen being carried out of the Sidhu family and dumped into a mass grave outside the city. At first, Xuan didn't quite believe it. After all, hearing was not the same as seeing. But now, he believed it. Xuan strode swiftly towards the main gate of the Sidhu family. The 2 servants frowned, stepped forward, and attempted to stop Xuan. Frowning, Xuan pointed at the 2 of them. "You 2 dared to step forth with your left foot first, violating my taboo, prepare to die." With that, the evil ghost claw suddenly struck out, crushing the heads of the 2 servants. Bang! The evil demon claw smashed down ferociously, instantly sending the main gate flying and embedding it forcefully into the screen wall. This sudden, enormous commotion caused all the servants and maids within the Situ family's courtyard to stare in shock. "What's going on? You've disturbed me at a crucial moment," exclaimed a bewitching young girl, clad in scant attire. She stormed out, her long, muscular legs propelling her forward, a blood-dripping sword in her hand. Without a doubt, this was Miss Situ, the third daughter of the family. Xuan pointed at Miss Situ, his brow furrowed. "Why did you step out with your right foot first? You two have violated my taboo, you must die." Bang! The evil demon claw struck again. Miss Situ's beautiful head was crushed in an instant. Her headless body thudded to the ground. The servants and maids turned pale. This was the family head's most doted upon daughter. Dead, just like that? "Ah!" screamed a maid, sprinting away. The other servants and maids also snapped out of their shock and turned to flee. Xuan shook his head. "Loud screaming violates my taboo, you must die." He deployed the blood beehive. A swarm of warrior bees burst forth. Wherever they passed, limbs and bodies were torn asunder. Boom! A flying sword blasted through the screen wall, hurtling straight toward Xuan. Unfazed, Xuan let his mystical iron shield materialize, easily blocking the strike. "Who are you? Without any grievance, why do you slay my daughter unprovoked?" shouted a refined and handsome middle-aged man, his anger blazing as he pointed at Xuan. Xuan deeply frowned, "Pointing at my nose also violates my taboo, you must die." The evil demon claw struck again. In an instant, it crushed the head of the Situ family patriarch as well. Chapter 124, Extermination of an Entire Family plus, Turn-off Reset. At this moment, a deep and vigorous voice accompanied by footsteps echoed from the main hall. "Friend. Who exactly are you? Are you an assassin hired by another clan? Or a demonic cultivator seeking wealth and treasures? If you are an assassin taking a commission, I, Situ Xiong, am willing to offer double the reward. If it's spirit stones or treasures you seek, I will offer them without hesitation. I simply ask that you leave immediately. Everything that happened today can be treated as if it never occurred. I pledge a vow of no revenge." Following the voice, Xuan saw an imposing white-haired old man walking slowly towards him. This person was the ancestor of the Situ family, a mid-foundation establishment stage cultivator, Situ Xiong. Situ Xiong could immediately tell that this person was extremely powerful. See the novelfire.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The phrase, "you must die for violating my taboo," was merely rhetoric. Without any hesitation, Situ Xiong intended to reconcile with this formidable opponent. In the world of cultivating families, as long as there was a foundation establishment stage elder like him, the family could flourish again in another 20 or 30 years. The deaths of a few young Situ family members below him were inconsequential. Xuan was somewhat surprised by Situ Xiong's words. He had killed so many members of the Situ family, yet the other party didn't even bat an eye. Instead, he was offering him spirit stones, treasures, and double the reward, saying that today's events could be forgotten. This wouldn't do. If things remained this calm, how could he continue to kill? Seeing Xuan's expression, Situ Xiong tilted his head, pondered seriously, and then said, "Surrendering without fighting is also violating my taboo, you must die." Situ Xiong's expression instantly turned dark. "Are you determined to fight to the death? I truly don't understand why you insist on fighting." As soon as he finished speaking, Situ Xiong stomped fiercely on the ground, his body suddenly shooting forward like a cannonball. In mid-air, spiritual qi condensed into a fiery red giant sword full of high temperature and explosive aura, slashing down aggressively. Immediately after, he infused spiritual qi and simultaneously threw out 3 magic talismans. The 3 talismans instantly burned up, transforming into the souls of 3 demonic beasts, the tiger soul, wolf soul, and boar soul, all attacking Xuan together. Xuan reached out and the evil demon claw suddenly appeared. In an instant, it caught the fiery red giant sword that the opponent had fiercely swung. There was a crisp sound. The fiery red giant sword was instantly crushed. Ensure your favorite authors get the support they deserve. Read this novel on the original website. It exploded into countless sparks of flames, dispersing in the air. At the same moment, the souls of the 3 demonic beasts also rushed towards him. Chu Xian's waist bore an ancient bell that suddenly trembled with vibrations. Out of nowhere, a vast bell enveloped him, and behind his head, 3 layers of golden wheels of merit rose, slowly turning, framing him as if he were a living Buddha among mortals. The souls of 3 demonic beasts crashed against the surface of the bell of merit, then, under the infinite power of merit, they screamed pitifully as they turned to ash. Situ Xiong's face suddenly changed color. The formidable figure before him was clearly a brigand, a thief who plundered and murdered. Why then did he possess 3 layers of the merit wheels in his mind? He had heard that even the abbot Yuanhong of the Golden Dragon Temple had only 2. Could it be that this marauder was actually a Buddhist monk blessed with immeasurable merit? Impossible. In the instant Situ Xiong was struck with shock, Chu Xian advanced, closing the distance between them. With a precise strike of his demon claw, he scooped out Situ Xiong's spiritual core and seized his storage bag. A simple palm strike then thunderously imprinted on his chest, unleashing an orange-yellow fire that exploded violently. Boom! In just a moment, the flames completely engulfed Situ Xiong. He managed only a final scream before his flesh and bones were utterly consumed by the corpse-refining blood fire. Using a mid-stage foundation establishment cultivator as fuel, the intensity of the corpse-refining blood fire increased slightly. Over to you, Chu Xian instructed the queen bee, then strode purposefully towards the main hall of the Situ family. Such a cultivator's household would surely possess secret doors, tunnels, and chambers to hide their family treasures. However, after searching up, down, and all around, nearly digging 3 feet into the ground, Chu Xian found no such chamber. He then slapped his forehead in realization. That Situ Xiong, a man clearly of the most selfish sort, must have carried the family treasures on his person. Immediately, Chu Xian examined Situ Xiong's storage bag. Indeed. Small spiritual stones, medium spiritual stones, magical tools, pills, talismans, formations, cultivation techniques, secret methods, and classic texts, treasures piled up like a small mountain, dazzling his eyes. Excellent. Everything's here, I'll look through them at home, Chu Xian chuckled with satisfaction. Seeing that there was no one left alive in the Situ household, and nothing of use remained, he changed his appearance and left through the back door, quickly disappearing without a trace. Chu Xian's entrance into the Situ household had already attracted the attention of many in the city. However, the screams and sounds of spell deterred the common folk from venturing inside. Only some scattered cultivators watched from a distance, eyes shifting, tempted to act. After Chu Xian had fled thousands of miles away, some finally mustered the courage to enter the Situ house. What they found was a scene of utter disarray, no trace of life, not even a drop of blood, as if someone had meticulously licked every inch of the ground clean. Clearly, a powerful figure had bloodily purged the Situ household. Situ Xiong, the ancestral figure of the Situ family and a formidable mid-stage foundation establishment cultivator, had scarcely caused a ripple. The scattered cultivators could not help but feel grateful towards the powerful figure. Had it not been for this strong figure's intervention to annihilate the Situ family, they would never have had the opportunity to step foot inside. Someone took the lead, and the scattered cultivators surged into the Situ residence. Each had suffered under the Situ family's tyranny at one time or another and now sought to claim their share of the spoils. However, they miscalculated. Even after rummaging through the Situ household and digging 3 feet into the ground, they found not a single so-called treasure. Not even a small spiritual stone could be found. The cultivators' faces twisted with indignation. It seemed the senior had bullied them excessively. How could he feast on the meat and not leave even a drop of soup for them? A day later. In the secluded woods outside Golden Lake Market, Yan Peng and his 3 subordinates waited with excitement and anticipation. They had already received news of the Situ family's downfall. They knew, without a doubt, it was the work of that demonic cultivator senior. A foundation establishment family, once even a golden core family, had been obliterated in the blink of an eye. Yan Peng's face was split with a grin. His three companions could hardly keep their mouths shut from smiling. The four of them chatted about everything under the sun, their conversation filled with aspirations for the future. Suddenly, a cold wind blew through. The four blinked and found that the previously empty ground now bore a dark-cloaked figure. Yan Peng and his group, thrilled, quickly gathered together. They bowed respectfully towards Chu Xian, Moss. Snap! The evil claw struck. The heads of all four were crushed simultaneously. Their storage bags were collected, and their corpses nonchalantly placed into the tower. Time to go home, it's blind box time again, Chu Xian remarked, turning to leave. Chapter 125, No demonic cultivator could possibly possess merit plus, turn off reset. Haodai Hotel rooftop, Chu Xian rubbed his hands together eagerly, flipping open the book in front of him, Giant Elephant Body Refining Technique. The first page of Giant Elephant Body Refining Technique was filled with praises for the Golden Core ancestor Situ Jia, highlighting his life's achievements. Between the lines, Chu Xian could discern the trajectory of Situ Jia's life. Born with only a medium-grade water spirit root and no family backing, Situ Jia rose from a mere qi refining cultivator. For survival, he chose to simultaneously refine qi and body, supplementing with goo worms and corpse puppets. It was unclear where he obtained the body refining resources, but his body refining realm advanced rapidly. With formidable body refining strength, he sought the rare treasures needed for qi refining. Thus, his qi refining realm also progressed in tandem, creating a cycle of advancement that eventually established him as a powerhouse of the Golden Core stage. Situ Jia fell during an external campaign by the heaven-burning sect, but his body was never recovered. Many descendants of the Situ family believed that their ancestor had not perished but had escaped the battlefield to heal elsewhere. They anticipated that one day Situ Jia would return like lightning, restoring the supreme glory of the Golden Core family. Chu Xian paid little attention to Situ Jia and continued flipping through the pages. After a brief scan, he revealed a look of astonishment. Truly worthy of a high-grade body refinement technique, to achieve such miraculous effects. The Giant Elephant Body Refining Technique viewed the human body as an aggregation of 360 million microparticles. Its ultimate goal was to fully develop each microparticle into a giant elephant microparticle. Each microparticle contained the strength of a giant elephant. With this technique mastered, every movement and gesture would harness the power of 360 million giant elephants. The physical body would rival that of a medium-grade magic treasure, impervious to ordinary poisons. To practice this technique, one must constantly visualize the roaring image of giant elephants. Awakening the strength of one microparticle marked entry into the first level of body refinement. 10 microparticles opened the second level, and 100 microparticles opened the third level, and so forth. However, not even the Golden Core powerhouse Situ Jia managed to fully develop all 360 million microparticles throughout his entire body. As one progressed further, the daily requirement for life essence intake became increasingly terrifying. Even for a Golden Core cultivator like Situ Jia, supplying the daily consumption of Giant Elephant Body Refining Technique was uncertain. Thus, his body refinement realm eventually reached a standstill. A headache for Golden Core powerhouses, but not a concern for me, Chu Xian chuckled. Flesh rich in life essence? That's the one thing I have in abundance. Chu Xian immediately sat cross-legged, fixing his gaze on the first page of the tome, depicting a roaring giant elephant, and began his visualization. The narrative has been taken without permission. Report any sightings. Visualization, crudely put, is not unlike daydreaming. However, while daydreaming involves emptying the mind entirely, visualization requires clearing the mind of all but one focused image, the roaring giant elephant. Initially, it might be difficult to capture even a fraction of the essence of the giant elephant, but as one's realm improves, so too does the integration with the giant elephant, until every movement embodies the essence of this majestic beast. Achieving this signifies an advancement into a profound realm. At the start, Capturing just a fraction of the elephant's essence is enough to be considered as having entered the doorway of this technique. The title page states that a beginner needs at least 6 months of deep contemplation to successfully capture this essence, with daily intake of flesh not to be interrupted. Situ Jia, who had a natural aptitude for body refinement, managed to capture it within a month. Chu Xian was curious about how long it would take him, given his own dedicated efforts. He focused intently on the image of the roaring giant elephant. In a blink, all distractions vanished, leaving only the ancient elephant, whose roar shook the heavens, before him. Beneath this titanic figure, he felt like a mere ant. Roar. The sound of the elephant's roar seemed to shatter his soul. In an instant, Chu Xian found himself back in his original position, as if nothing had happened. He frowned, took a few steps, and moved about. For some reason, he noticed an added ferocity and terror in his movements, reminiscent of ancient beasts. Chu Xian blinked in surprise. Is it done? Just like that? This giant elephant roar visualization isn't that difficult. I must credit my remarkable aptitude in this area, he remarked, impressed with himself. It was definitely his unique advantage in body refinement, unrelated to any merits. Then, Chu Xian began consuming blood food. Casually, he stuffed soft chunks of meat into his mouth, swallowing them whole. As the cube released primal psionic energy, the meat was restored in the blink of an eye. With such rapid supplementation, it only took 3 days for Chu Xian to achieve the first level of body refinement. He could feel his physical body becoming somewhat stronger, though the change wasn't pronounced. It seemed that several more levels would need to be attained to see a significant transformation. Continue cultivating. With 2 or 3 more years, I should reach the 9th level of foundation establishment. If no better core condensation method appears, I might as well focus on body refinement. Cultivate while searching. Since there was a chance to pursue a superior core condensation method, he certainly wouldn't miss it. Search *the novelfire.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Chu Xian calmed his mind and continued his cultivation. The downfall of the Situ clan sent ripples of unease through the other cultivation families in Yu Kingdom, who were preparing to migrate north. Even though the Situ clan had weakened with only one foundation establishment patriarch remaining, it had once been a golden core family. As the saying goes, a camel starved to death is still larger than a horse. How could such a lineage be wiped out? Yet, undeniable was the truth they had to believe. The news reached the heaven-burning sect, prompting them to dispatch a team led by 2 foundation establishment cultivators to investigate. It was their own cultivation family that had inexplicably vanished, and some form of response was necessary. Despite their efforts, only scattered clues emerged from the investigation. In the ruins of the Situ clan estate in Pingyuan City, the 2 heaven-burning sect cultivators, a robust man named Luo Feiyong and a charming young woman named Xianxia, sat contemplating the findings. Furrowing his brow, Luo Feiyong said, "One rogue cultivator claimed the assailant justified killing the gatekeepers for stepping out with their left foot first, and slaughtered the maid in the courtyard for screaming too loudly. Acting without restraint, it must be a demonic cultivator." Xianxia whispered. Another rogue cultivator reported seeing golden light soaring within the mansion, accompanied by faint Buddhist chants and layers of Buddha's radiance. Luo Feiyong looked astonished. Buddha's radiance? That conflicts with demonic cultivation. Xianxia nodded in agreement. Indeed. Whoever destroyed the Situ clan couldn't possibly possess any merit. Luo Feiyong's voice deepened. In that case, it must have been the work of the Golden Dragon Temple. Within the borders of Yu Kingdom, they are the only Buddhist sect. Xianxia stood up promptly. Then we must report this immediately. Further investigation will likely yield no additional results. We can state that it was the monks of the Golden Dragon Temple who slaughtered the Situ clan. This blame should be placed squarely on their shoulders. Luo Feiyong nodded. I share your sentiment. With a tacit understanding, the 2 swiftly departed, reporting the incident to the heaven-burning sect. Time flew like a shuttle. Chu Xian sat in meditation within the soul-gathering and evil cultivation formation for 2.5 years before barely stepping into the 9th level of foundation establishment. The process took longer than he had anticipated. As for his physical cultivation, it had reached the 11th level, which was equivalent to the strength of a cultivator at the first level of foundation establishment. Although it seemed slow at a glance, the progress was actually astoundingly fast. Without the original energy cubes providing an endless intake of flesh, such rapid advancement to the 11th level of body refinement in just 2.5 years would have been impossible. New intelligence? Xuan thought. Now that I've reached the 9th level of foundation establishment, it's time to return and see what changes have taken place in Wu province. Upon noticing cracks in the mother stone, Xuan used the blood mirror to traverse to Mystic Azure Realm. Wu Province, Whitewater City. This city was located 3,000 li south of Plain City and was controlled by another cultivation family under the heaven-burning sect, the Huang family. The Huang family treated the cultivators from the Yu Kingdom slightly better than the Sidu family had, but they still regarded Yu Kingdom cultivators as inferior to those from the Yu Kingdom. Perhaps learning from the fall of the Sidu family, the Huangs also intended to relocate and seek development in Wu Province. However, they did not move en masse but instead established a branch in Whitewater City, relocating some side-branch cultivators. Their actions were very cautious, which somewhat displeased Xuan. How can they only move halfway? How am I supposed to pay them a visit like this? Disguised as an elderly man with white hair, Xuan entered Whitewater City. Soon after, he met with his informant in a house, Huang'an, a mid-stage qi refining elder from a side branch of the Huang family. Xuan obtained all his information about the Huangs from this elder. Originally, Xuan planned to use Yanpeng as a future source of intelligence. However, after obtaining information about the Sidu family through Yanpeng and then annihilating them, he worried that someone might trace his whereabouts through Yanpeng. To eliminate future threats, he decided to dispose of Yanpeng. As for Huang'an, his story was somewhat peculiar. In his youth, Huang'an had a serendipitous encounter and acquired a secret technique for sensing qi. Although he couldn't directly see cultivation levels, he could detect the merits and demerits on a person. Xuan had been walking through Whitewater City recently, gathering intelligence on the Huang family in hopes of discovering a superior core condensation method. Coincidentally, Huang'an detected the dense aura of merit surrounding Xuan and concluded that Xuan must be a formidable figure. Without a second thought, Huang'an pledged allegiance to Xuan, willing to serve him loyally in hopes that Xuan would obliterate the Huang family. He sought revenge for his gifted grandson who, despite his talent, had been ostracized by the main branch of the Huang family and died in resentment. Xuan was somewhat wary of such a readily offered subordinate. Reading on Amazon or a pirate site? This novel is from Royal Road. Support the author by reading it there. However, after Huang'an willingly ingested a 5 organs goo and remained steadfast in his loyalty, Xuan began to regard him with a measure of respect. Old servant has seen the master, Huang'an said respectfully. Xuan waved a hand dismissively. Speak, what intelligence have you gathered? Huang'an reported the information in detail. After a moment, Xuan nodded in understanding, his expression unreadable, yet his heart tinged with sorrow. The intelligence brought by Huang'an pertained to the underground relics in the Misty Mountains. A month ago in Mystic Azure time, the dark mists that had long enveloped the underground relics finally dissipated. Only 3 golden core cultivators emerged alive, all from the Divine Star sect. This likely meant that Wan Wuying had perished. As for those like Su Ming, whose powers did not compare to those of golden core cultivators, there was no need to say more. However, Han Luyun, who was known for his caution, might have survived. After a brief moment of sorrow, Xuan pondered an important question. What about the golden core techniques? How would he continue his cultivation? Oh, master, could you not survive a bit longer? Give me the golden core techniques before you die, he muttered internally. Xuan casually asked, what about the whereabouts of the top-tier core condensation methods? None? Huang'an shook his head. Apologies, master. Top-tier core condensation methods are exceedingly rare. Despite my best efforts, I could not locate any. However, I did find 2 high-grade core condensation methods that meet your requirements. Xuan nodded slightly, not bad. Perhaps he had underestimated the rarity of the top-tier methods. He had only just reached the 9th level of foundation establishment and was still far from completely saturating his spiritual qi. He would continue to search, but if no other way presented itself, he would have to settle for a high-grade core condensation method. Huangyan hesitated, seeming to have more to say. Xuan casually asked, "What else do you wish to say?" See the novelfire.net * website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Huangyan spoke respectfully. Old servant has heard another piece of news, though I cannot be certain it contains what you seek. Xuan gestured for him to continue. Huangyan explained earnestly, a late-stage foundation establishment cultivator from the main branch of the Huang family, named Huang Wuyang, who serves the heaven-burning sect, recently returned from a battle against the Heavenly Seal sect, bringing back many treasures. He arrived in Whitewater City a few days ago. Huang Wuyang plans to hold a small auction here, selling these treasures, with at least 10 foundation establishment stage cultivators expected to attend. I speculate that among these items, there might be something you need. Xuan's eyes lit up. This could be it. The treasures seized from the Heavenly Seal sect by a late-stage foundation establishment cultivator like Huang Wuyang might very well include the core condensation method he sought. It was worth investigating. Xuan asked, "Do you have the intelligence on Huang Wuyang and the attendees?" Huangyan respectfully replied, "Old servant has gathered it for you." With that, he handed over a small note to Xuan. Xuan nodded in satisfaction, "Good." He paused for a moment, then continued, "I've been mindful of your situation." Huangyan solemnly responded, "Master, your strength is formidable, and annihilating the Huang family is just a casual act for you. This old servant can wait. Right now, I still need to use the Huang family to gather intelligence for you. There's no rush to bring down the Huang family too soon. If there's ever a need for me in the future, the old servant will always be at your service." Xuan nodded slightly, "Very well." He had already obtained a lot of information from Huangyan. The loyalty of this old cultivator was beyond doubt. If useful now, he could certainly be used again in the future. In the blink of an eye, Xuan disappeared without a trace. Huangyan, seeming unperturbed, continued his daily work. When encountering members of the main branch of the Huang family, he would even humbly lower his head and smile. No one knew that beneath the facade of this kindly-looking old man lay a seething rage capable of reducing the entire Huang family to ashes, and it was only growing stronger. A day later, at night. Jade Tower, Whitewater City. This tower was a famous place in Whitewater City, known for its extravagant auctions. The small-scale auction hosted by Huang Wuyang was held underground at Jade Tower. It was an intimate affair, attended almost exclusively by acquaintances. It was difficult for outsiders to obtain invitations. Naturally, Xuan couldn't secure an invitation. His solution was rather direct and brutal. According to the information provided by Huangyan, he ambushed and killed another foundation establishment stage clan head from the LV family on the way, took his face to make a human skin mask, and effortlessly infiltrated the small-scale auction. The clan head from the LV family was at the 7th level of foundation establishment, known for his aloof and taciturn nature, and had some grievances with other foundation establishment cultivators. Xuan simply sat down boldly, imperceptibly observing the other attendees. Who to kill first, who to kill later. Who to curse, who to poison. All these calculations were running through his mind. In the dimly lit room filled with the muted sounds of foundation establishment cultivators mingling, the conversation nearby turned into a fervent discussion about recent tumultuous events, notably the demise of the Sidhu family. "Have you heard about the Sidhu family's ordeal, Master Lu?" "Yes, I've heard. The entire Sidhu family was wiped out by a brutal assailant, thousands perished without a single survivor. It's been revealed by the upper sects that it was the work of a demonic monk from the Golden Dragon Temple in Yu Kingdom. They say someone witnessed bursts of Buddha's light emanating from the Sidhu estate." "What? Those bald monks did it?" Ha, I knew it. They preach about laying down the butcher's knife to become Buddhas on the spot, but behind the scenes, they commit such acts. Heh, no worries, Glodden Dragon Temple won't last much longer. The upper sect initially planned to move against the mystical Sound Palace and Imperial Spirit Mountain, but they've changed their plans last minute to strike Glodden Dragon Temple first. Huh. Whether true or not, Glodden Dragon Temple can't refute it. The cultivators around Xuan were eagerly exchanging whispers about the big events. Xuan could only suppress a chuckle hearing how the blame had been conveniently shifted onto Glodden Dragon Temple. Well, that suits me fine. Golden Dragon Temple is no saint anyway. The things Huikong did. I know all about them. Hey, do you think that demonic monk might target another cultivating family? That demonic monk acts without any limits, ruthless in pursuit of wealth. It wouldn't be surprising if he came after our families too. We were forced to migrate north by the upper sect. Hopefully, that monk doesn't find us. If even a late-stage cultivator like Situ Xiong fell to him, I stand no chance. Why worry? If our families unite, forming a defensive triangle, what's there to fear from one monk? Exactly. If that monk dares to strike, he won't return alive. The family heads, righteous indignation swelling within them, seemed as if they had already dealt with the demonic monk. Their conversation was interrupted by a series of coughs as a handsome and imposing figure strode confidently into the room. All eyes turned towards the newcomer as they quickly stood up. Senior Brother Huang. Fellow Taoist Huang. Most of these Foundation establishment cultivators were those who felt they had reached their potential and left the heaven-burning sect to establish their own cultivating families. Unlike them, Huang Wuyang still served within the heaven-burning sect, and at just over 40 years old, he was brimming with potential. If fortune favored him, he might even advance to the Golden Core stage, elevating the Huang family from a mere Foundation establishment to a Golden Core lineage. Of course, a family that occasionally produces a Golden Core cultivator isn't considered particularly strong compared to those where each generation has Golden Core cultivators. If you spot this story on Amazon, know that it has been stolen. Report the violation. However, enduring Golden Core families in the Yu Kingdom are few, and among these Foundation establishment families, the Huang family's potential to ascend was enough to overshadow them for at least 300 years. This was enough reason for them to curry favor with Huang Wuyang. Huang Wuyang chuckled lightly, bowing to the crowd. A pleasure, a pleasure. Huang has the honor of meeting you all. His gaze swept across the assembly, briefly crossing paths with the silent Chu Xian, prompting him to smile imperceptibly. LV Xiao. The head of the LV clan, once his senior brother. Adorned with myriad glories. An injury sustained on an expedition damaged his foundation, compelling him to leave the sect with melancholy and establish a sect of his own in cultivation. As a result, LV Xiao underwent a profound transformation, becoming the reclusive figure he was known as today. However, Huang Wuyang was a man of dignity. He never sought to humiliate LV Xiao, as that would demean himself. Merely a glance at LV Xiao was sufficient to evoke a strong sense of superiority within him. Chu Xian naturally noticed Huang Wuyang's gaze. Huang Yin approached his tasks with utmost seriousness, presenting intelligence reports in meticulous detail, including Huang Wuyang's interpersonal relationships within the heaven-burning sect. He naturally understood the enmity between Huang Wuyang and LV Xiao. His amusement was subtle. Beneath this facade, the LV senior brother known to Huang Wuyang was nowhere to be found. The lord of the Lu family, with silver-white temples, chuckled lightly. Junior brother Huang has also arrived. Shall we commence the small-scale auction? Huang Wuyang laughed heartily. Not yet. I have invited a fellow Taoist to join us. She intends to auction various treasures she holds. With these words, the cultivators present were quite astonished. Someone else is coming? Do we know her? Seeing the perplexity in the eyes of the crowd, Huang Wuyang smiled faintly. She is not an acquaintance of yours, but she is of mine. However, I'm sure none of you would mind. Before he could finish his sentence, there came a knock at the door. Huang Wuyang smiled faintly. She has arrived. He walked over and personally opened the door. Search *the novelfire.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Junior Sister Chow, you've finally arrived, he exclaimed with a hearty laugh. Following his gaze, everyone saw a graceful and slender woman. Chow. The crowd was momentarily stunned, then recalled the renowned prodigy of the heaven-burning sect. Chao Zijin. It's actually Chao Zijin? Isn't she the highly regarded closed-door disciple of the sect master? Foundation establishment cultivators were astounded. Huang Wuyang had actually invited Chao Zijin to join them. What an immense honor it must be. Though Huang Wuyang was also a genius among geniuses, his aptitude clearly paled in comparison to Chao Zijin's. Huang Wuyang achieved foundation establishment at the age of 40, whereas Chao Zijin, at 30, had already reached the 7th level of foundation establishment. Even the nascent soul ancestor of the heaven-burning sect had praised her highly, predicting that Chao Zijin would soon step onto the path of golden core. Perhaps she might even glimpse the way to nascent soul in the future. The cultivators immediately voiced their excitement, eager to make an impression in front of this future golden core cultivator. Huang Wuyang observed the shocked expressions of the cultivators and felt a sense of satisfaction. This was the person he had invited. Facing the enthusiastic foundation establishment cultivators, Chao Zijin responded calmly. She scanned the room and finally took a seat at the front. As she was about to sit down, she noticed Chu Xian. His face, somewhat familiar yet also unfamiliar, caught her off guard. She awkwardly smiled. Senior brother LV, you're here too. In the past, LV Xiao had been both her and Huang Wuyang's senior brother. The sect leader had even intended for her to become Dao companions with LV Xiao. Chu Xian remained silent as if completely unaware of Chao Zijin sitting beside him. Seeing his lack of response, Chao Zijin's smile stiffened slightly. There was a hint of coldness in her beautiful eyes as she turned her head away. To put it nicely, he was her senior brother from the past. Less kindly, he was merely a foundation establishment cultivator with damaged prospects and a dim future. Yet he dared to show her attitude. Little did she know, Chu Xian's mind was preoccupied with thoughts of prodigies and precious treasures. He was also contemplating how to deal with this heaven-burning sect prodigy as soon as possible. The strongest opponents had to be dealt with first to minimize unforeseen circumstances. Huang Wuyang clapped his hands satisfactorily and smiled. Everyone, now that we're all here, let's officially begin this small-scale auction. Soon, Huang Wuyang's small-scale auction, which he presided over, officially began. Various magic tools and techniques were displayed one by one before the audience. Chu Xian remained composed and silent throughout. As time passed second by second, Master Lu suddenly covered his forehead, frowning. Feeling a bit dizzy. He struggled to stand up, but his hands suddenly went limp, and with a loud crash, he fell to the ground. Hastily grabbing the arm of the nearby patriarch to help himself up, he found the figure withered and emaciated. With a light tug, it turned out to be just a piece of human skin. The flesh and organs inside had disappeared without a trace, leaving only a skeletal frame. The nearby patriarch was horrified and tried to stand up, only to find that his legs were completely unresponsive, preventing him from rising. This horrifying scene immediately shocked the foundation establishment cultivators. What's happening? Someone is attacking without honor. Huang Wuyang and Chao Zijin also sensed that something was amiss. They immediately activated their spiritual qi, intending to cast defensive spells. However, the flow of their spiritual qi became unexpectedly sluggish, as if their meridians were filled with mud, severely hindering their ability to mobilize it. This? Chao Zijin was astonished. With her innate superior root and pure metal spiritual body, she had been meticulously cultivated by the heaven-burning sect's sect master since childhood and had never encountered such a situation before. With his vast combat experience, Huang Wuyang immediately suspected they were under attack. He roared in anger, activating a secret technique to force the activation of his defensive spells. See the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. In the blink of an eye, a large number of bees surged out from the darkness, rushing towards the Foundation establishment cultivators who had fallen in disarray. 3 burly, dark figures suddenly shot out and charged towards Huang Wuyang. Eerie demon claws surged forward, aiming for Chao Zijin's head. Clang! Chao Zijin made no sudden movements, but a magic tool suddenly rose from her, revealing a mirror exuding a sharp golden aura, which blocked the attack in front of her. Chu Xian, who had long planned the attack with his evil claw, was blocked by the mirror. However, Chu Xian's other prepared attack had already swooped toward the back of Chao Zijin's head. It was the evil soul chain. The black serpent-like chain suddenly lunged down, entwining Chao Zijin's delicate and fair neck in an instant. Within moments, Chao Zijin found it difficult to breathe. She struggled to tap her chest once, and a talisman emerged from it, shimmering with layers of fiery light, almost shaking off the chain. Chu Xian could see at a glance that the talisman was at least a high-grade Foundation establishment talisman, the most precious defensive talisman. Clearly, it was the life-saving trump card given to this prodigy by the heaven-burning sect. This tale has been pilfered from Royal Road. If found on Amazon, kindly file a report. As the chain loosened, Chao Zijin swiftly produced 2 magic talismans, which instantly transformed into a serpent's soul and a hound soul. With one on each side, they fiercely attacked Chu Xian. Chao Zijin, though a hothouse flower sheltered from battle, possessed innate combat intuition. From the direction where those goo worms, corpse puppets, and spells emerged, she immediately deduced that her former senior brother, LV Xiao, was behind this assault. LV Xiao, why are you attacking me? She shouted angrily, pointing at Chu Xian's nose. Even if the sect owes you something, you shouldn't strike at fellow sect members. Chu Xian sneered coldly, you dare to point at me and violate my taboos, death awaits. Upon hearing this, the cultivators present immediately turned pale. Violate my taboos. That phrase sounded a little familiar. Wait. Isn't this what the demonic monk who slaughtered the Situ family said? Chu Xian casually tossed the merit bell, causing it to resonate instantly. In the blink of an eye, it condensed into a colossal clock shimmering with Buddha light above his head, enveloping his entire body. Before the serpent soul and hound soul could reach him, they wailed and turned to ashes under the towering Buddha light. Huang Wuyang, Chao Zijin, and the others witnessed the 3 rotating merit wheels behind Chu Xian's head, shocked beyond measure. Huang Wuyang immediately shouted, you are indeed the demonic monk who exterminated the Situ family. Hui Kong, haven't eaten yet? Chu Xian sneered coldly. The soul Hui Kong immediately appeared, emitting a piercing scream that assaulted their souls. It knew all too well that any underhanded tricks would result in a severe beating from its master. This piercing scream, sweeping through their minds, felt like a 1,000-pound hammer. Chao Zijin's soul was far inferior to Chu Xian's, leaving her mind temporarily blank and unable to continue thinking, let alone casting spells. Her speech function was temporarily lost as well. Chu Xian waved his large hand. The myriad souls banner suddenly vibrated, and within moments, tens of thousands of fierce ghosts surged out. During the battle at the Science City, the myriad souls banner had absorbed a large number of souls, almost overflowing. Of course, Chu Xian had no need for these weak souls, what he needed were powerful ghosts who had survived countless battles. Under his command, these souls fought within the myriad souls banner. The deceased souls would become nourishment for those who survived the constant battles. As they underwent continuous slaughter, these souls gradually transformed. Ultimately, over 20,000 powerful ghosts emerged. Similar to corpse puppets, these ghosts were divided into ranks such as Ghost Soldier, Ghost General, Ghost Commander, and Ghost King, ranging from the 4th to 6th levels. They were comparable to mid-stage Foundation establishment cultivators. They surged forward in an instant. Even though the Hound Soul was equivalent to an early Foundation establishment demonic beast, it was torn to shreds within moments. The ferocious ghosts did not slow their advance, charging directly at Chao Zijin. They devoured her life soul bite by bite in the blink of an eye. Those few ghosts that consumed the majority of Chao Zijin's life soul visibly grew stronger at an astonishing rate. It was highly likely that a ghost general would be born from them. The prodigy of the heaven-burning sect quickly became nothing more than a lifeless corpse. As for Huang Wuyang, he was relentlessly attacked by the three corpse generals in the form of Long, Hu, and Bao, and was literally riddled with holes. His flesh was devoured by the three corpses, and his life soul was captured and taken into the myriad souls banner. The remaining Foundation establishment cultivators had already been poisoned by the dust secretly released by Chu Xian. Facing the assault of soldier bees and venomous bees, they had no ability to defend themselves. Most had already perished by the time Chu Xian was fighting Chao Zijin. Now with Huang Wuyang dead, the remaining cultivators also died in utter despair. They could never have imagined that merely attending a small auction would lead to such an unprovoked disaster. Clean everything up meticulously, leave not a single piece of flesh behind, Chu Xian casually ordered. And take all the poison powder with you, we can't let anyone guess what poison I used. Soon, the room was left in complete disarray, but without a trace of blood or flesh. The worker bees were thorough in their cleanup, not even leaving a single drop of blood. Chu Xian nodded in satisfaction, changed his appearance, and left the green jade building from another direction. He didn't expect much from the storage bags of the Foundation establishment cultivators, but the ones belonging to Huang Wuyang and Chao Zijin were sure to keep him pleased for a long time. I hope they contain what I need. If not, I'll just have to visit a few more cultivation families to demand what I want, he mused. And if they're not prepared to share their family's heritage willingly, it'll mean more fighting and killing. What a hassle. Chu Xian smacked his lips and, mounting the green shadow shuttle, quickly disappeared into the dark night. Chapter 129, The Thunder Python Core Condensation Technique. The Netherworld Soul Core Technique. Plus, Turn Off Reset. Chu Xian sat cross-legged within the array, methodically opening the storage bags of these Foundation establishment cultivators. Just as he had anticipated, these cultivators, though at the Foundation establishment stage, did not possess many treasures. It seemed they differed from Situ Xiong, having left their valuables with their clans rather than carrying them personally, a pity indeed. Chu Xian rubbed his hands together in anticipation, first opening the storage bags of Huang Wuyang and Chao Zijin. Excluding the spirit stones, superior magic tools, and other common treasures from Huang Wuyang's bag, as well as the spoils from the Heavenly Seal sect, there lay a small vial of Earth Mother Spirit liquid and the demonic core of a blazing fire bear. He aspired to pursue the orthodox path of the complete golden core, Chu Xian mused with a smile. The Earth Mother Spirit liquid was indeed a heavenly material and earthly treasure necessary for the complete consolidation of the golden core, speeding the process significantly. The blazing fire bear's demonic core was quite commendable, albeit incompatible with his thunder spiritual root. Nevertheless, this demonic core might yet be traded for a different type of beast core in the future, not an entirely fruitless find. However, it was Chao Zijin's storage bag that brought Chu Xian a tremendous surprise. This woman, lauded even by the nascent soul ancestors of the heaven-burning sect, possessed treasures surpassing even those of Duan Feiping. Setting aside the spirit stones, magic tools, pills, and talismans for a moment, Chu Xian was most captivated by one particular item she possessed, a top-grade core condensation secret technique. Chu Xian cradled the thin ancient tome, his face breaking into a gratified smile. The Thunder Python Core Condensation Technique, he exclaimed. Using the demonic core of a thunder python to condense a beastly golden core. He felt deeply thankful to Huang Wuyang. Without Huang's invitation to Chao Zijin for the small auction, it might have taken him years more to find such a superior core condensation technique. Chu Xian grew reflective as he continued perusing the treasures in Chao Zijin's storage bag. Moments later, he stumbled upon something unexpected. What is this? Chu Xian picked up an ancient jade slip, deep in thought. The slip was engraved with a few characters, the Netherworld Soul Core Technique. Chu Xian was taken aback. What was this? It seemed to bear some connection to the Nether Dao sect. Pressing the jade slip to his brow, a flood of information surged into his mind. In the blink of an eye, he had comprehended the Netherworld soul core technique. It's actually a method for condensing a second golden core, he pondered in astonishment. Xuan was astounded. A second golden core. Such a thing was unheard of. The Misty Mountains, situated on the border between Tong Province and Wu Province, had long been occupied by the heaven-burning sect, along with the ghost palace under their control. Xuan surmised that this technique was likely obtained by the heaven-burning sect from some ancient ruins and had eventually been bestowed upon Chao Zijin by the sect master himself. If you spot this tale on Amazon, know that it has been stolen. Report the violation. The original intention was likely for Chao Zijin to comprehend this technique and condense a second golden core. Unexpectedly, Chao Zijin met an untimely demise, and the technique had fallen into his hands. So, this second golden core is not situated within the Qi Si but resides within the soul itself. He realized. At its core, this is a secret technique to enhance the soul. Once the soul core is refined, the soul would quintuple in strength, far surpassing the effects of the soul refining technique by manifold. Xuan was overjoyed. Seeing the conditions required to condense the Netherworld soul core only widened his smile. One must condense the Netherworld Tao base on a battlefield where over 1 million have perished. Then, using the souls of 100,000 living beings to condense the Netherworld soul core. Neither of these were challenging to achieve. Blue Star was overrun with zombies. Just activating the ultrasonic feeder would draw swarms of zombies from all directions, making 100,000 living souls easily obtainable. However, finding a battlefield where over 1 million had perished was more challenging on Blue Star, where battlefields typically harbored intense shades of resentment and the aura of strife. Such malevolent energies, fermenting over time, would become increasingly formidable, not something that could be artificially created by merely gathering and killing a large number of zombies. Nevertheless, if Blue Star proved lacking, the mystic Azure Realm would certainly have what was needed. The mortal realms of Yu, and Yan, all controlled by immortal sects, were perpetually at war. Mortals were not spared from these conflicts. Their emperors and generals, unable to cultivate immortality but desiring to leave a legacy or receive the sect's rewards to prolong life, would invariably seek to conquer vast territories. War was inevitable. Xuan was not worried about the intensity being insufficient. Once the conflict erupted, there would always be those lurking in the shadows, fanning the flames, making the war escalate. Plenty were those who posed as righteous on the surface but followed the demonic path in secrecy. The larger the scale of the mortal wars, the more they stood to gain. Xuan made a mental note of this. He would instruct Huang'an to keep an eye on these developments in secret. The condensation of the Netherworld soul core would thus be expedited. He planned to first condense the Netherworld soul core. See the novelfire.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. In doing so, his soul would be on par with a golden core cultivator, making him a pseudo-golden core cultivator in strength. With such power, finding the Thunder Python's demonic core would be much simpler. Then, using the Thunder Python core condensation technique to condense the Beast Golden core would follow. The Heaven-Burning Mountain Range. This was where the gates of the Heaven-Burning sect stood. Within the Grand Hall of the sect, where matters of great importance were deliberated, Luo Feiyong and Shang Yu knelt uneasily below. The sect master, Zhao Dingyan, sat cross-legged on a cushion, his expression fluctuating between stormy and calm. He felt as if his heart was bleeding. Chao Zijin was dead. Huang Wuyang was dead. All the Foundation establishment cultivators who had attended the small auction were dead. What have you found? Zhao Dingyan inhaled deeply, his voice grave. Luo Feiyong respectfully reported, Honorable Sect Master, many mortals near the Jade Tower in Whitewater City witnessed it. They heard intense fighting sounds from underground. After they approached, they saw a strong Buddhist light and heard lingering Buddhist chants. Shang Yu added, We both believe that it must have been that demon monk from Golden Dragon Temple who infiltrated the auction and cruelly slaughtered senior brother Huang, junior sister Chao, and the other 18. Zhao Dingyan, consumed by rage, chuckled bitterly. Excellent. A mere monk from Golden Dragon Temple dares to kill the prodigies of our heaven-burning sect and slay 18 of our Foundation establishment cultivators. This enmity is irreconcilable. Issue my order immediately, summon all Golden Core elders of the sect to the Grand Hall. The heaven-burning sect shall revenge. Luo Feiyong and Xianxia nodded respectfully, yes. They then quickly withdrew. 3 days later. Using the massacre of Chao Zijin and the 18 Foundation establishment cultivators by the monk from the Golden Dragon Temple as a pretext, the heaven-burning sect launched a sudden assault on the Golden Dragon Temple. The sect's cultivators, previously stationed at the boundaries of the mysterious Sound Palace and the Imperial Spirit Mountain, were all redeployed towards Golden Dragon Temple. Understanding the principle that the lips perish, the teeth grow cold, both the mysterious Sound Palace and Imperial Spirit Mountain immediately entered the fray to alleviate the pressure on the Golden Dragon Temple. The Divine Star Sect, longtime rivals of the Heaven-Burning Sect, also joined the war, though their contribution of cultivators was minimal, almost as if they were merely going through the motions, seemingly waiting for something. Affected by the conflict among cultivators, the mortal armies of the Yu Kingdom also invaded the Yu Kingdom, engaging in arson, killing, and looting. The mortals of the Yu and Yu Kingdoms thus began a protracted mortal war. Those demonic cultivators lurking in the shadows all began to fan the flames, intensifying the conflict. Chu Xian gleaned the current state of affairs from the intelligence gathered by Huang, and the Divine Star Sect and the Heaven-Burning Sect have ancient enmity, yet they are holding back. They must have a hidden agenda. Chu Xian shook his head repeatedly. If I'm not mistaken, the 100 Refinements sect of Yen Kingdom is also finding it hard to resist joining. In that case, you may as well have a good fight. I'll run first. Misty Mountains. The Divine Star Sect had long since withdrawn from this place. The Heaven-Burning Sect had taken control of the underground ruins here. As a former branch of the Nether Dao Sect, the Heaven-Burning Sect naturally knew what these underground ruins were. Hence, they attached great importance to this location. The Heaven-Burning Sect dispatched numerous mortal craftsmen to construct forts above the Ghost Palace and set up defensive formations. They also stationed a Golden Core expert, 5 Foundation establishment cultivators, and nearly 100 Qi refining cultivators here, forbidding anyone from approaching. However, at this moment, these cultivators were nowhere to be seen. They had vanished as if evaporated. A figure shrouded in a faint black aura walked out from the fort, greedily breathing in the fresh air. Behind him, an endless stream of bloody qi rushed into his body. "It's been 500 years, and I have returned," he murmured. The cool moonlight filtered through the dark branches, illuminating his face. This face was familiar to Chu Xian. It belonged to Han Luyun, the most deeply concealed among the Heavenly Seal trio. However, the current Han Luyun seemed to be just a husk. His soul had long been replaced by another. 500 years. What has become of the southern wilderness cultivation world, he pondered aloud. Those old bastards should still be alive. Don't die. Please don't die. Your nascent souls are mine. Not a single one can be missing. He sneered coldly. His body was enveloped in black qi, and in the blink of an eye, he disappeared into the darkness. On the prodigy of the Nether Dao Sect, Shang Tianjue, possessing a top-grade I spiritual root, 9th level Golden Core, intending to embark on the path to nascent soul. After the disappearance of the ancestral land of the Nether Dao Sect, Shang Tianjue also mysteriously vanished. Witnesses among cultivators reported that Shang Tianjue's last appearance was at the Ghost Palace of the Nether Dao Sect. On the rooftop of a high building, Chu Xian perused the scrolls in his hands, deep in thought. This document originated from Chao Zijin's storage pouch. Chu Xian had always been interested in the history of the Nether Dao Sect, hence his reading during leisure times. Zombies are coming? Chu Xian glanced down and noticed that zombies were already swarming in. Stolen story, please report. He smiled faintly. He had already instructed Black Blade to find an ultrasonic generator for him. Despite the widespread ruins, these scientific instruments could still be salvaged from the debris. Searching on his own would undoubtedly waste a lot of time. However, with the entire company of Black Blades searching for him, efficiency was naturally high. 5 days prior, Wang Gangjian and others reverently delivered 4 ultrasonic generators to Chu Xian. He selected the finest among them, coupled with a diesel generator, and ascended to the rooftop of a towering building. He had already activated the generator, casting the feeding ultrasonic waves into the air. In moments of ennui, he turned the pages of an ancient tome. Xianxia the Novel Fire. Any *T website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Roars erupted below. Swarms of zombies converged in growing numbers, groups of 3 or 5, dozens, hundreds, thousands, until by afternoon, over 100,000 had amassed beneath the building. Among them were zombies of superior strength and agility, possessed of unique talents. Without hesitation, Chu Xian activated the array. Thunderous booms resonated as the dreadful corpse refining blood fire spontaneously arose from the earth, engulfing all in its path. Even level 6 or 7 zombies stood no chance against it, quickly reduced to wails as they became fuel for the fire. This formation, known as the corpse refining blood fire array, was specifically designed to generate this fearsome fire. Chu Xian's reserves of corpse refining blood fire were amassing steadily, ample enough to be used in battle without reservation. His continued accumulation was driven by a passage within the blood evil demon refining scripture, suggesting that if one gathered sufficient corpse refining blood fire, it might be transformed into the even more potent blood eviling fire. While the former harmed only the body, the latter could devastate both body and soul. Though rarely achieved, Chu Xian was determined to attempt it, given his unique position to funnel endless fuel into the corpse refining blood fire. More and more of the fire accumulates, surely, it shall one day give rise to the blood eviling fire, Chu Xian mused with a smile. Soon, the 100,000 zombies were completely consumed by the corpse refining blood fire. With a casual gesture, Chu Xian collected the fire. He then produced a large soul banner and harvested the 100,000 living souls. This banner was not the Myriad Souls banner but the Great Souls banner, a low-grade magic tool. It merely possessed the capability to capture ordinary living souls and wandering spirits. Specifically prepared for this purpose, the banner was crucial. Had the souls been gathered into the Myriad Souls banner, they would have been torn asunder by powerful vengeful spirits within days. Thus, one of the conditions for condensing the Netherworld soul core was met. Excellent, it seems Xuan has succeeded once again, Chu Xian noted as he observed a crack forming in the mother stone, his eyes brightening with anticipation. Whitewater City. Xuan bowed respectfully to Chu Xian. Master, this humble servant has found the locations you sought. There are 3 in total. The first is the Enma Plains battlefield. Half a month ago, you engaged in war there, with several demon cultivators exacerbating the conflict, leading to the deployment of over 2 million mortal soldiers from both sides. It has now become a place steeped in deep resentment. The second is the Whitewater River battlefield. It is an ancient battlefield where Yan and you clashed 200 years ago, resulting in the deaths of 1 million soldiers. The third is the Lulan battlefield in the Endless Desert. It was once a tug-of-war between you, with both sides battling for over a decade and deploying 3 million troops. However, it is now firmly controlled by the heaven-burning sect, making access difficult. Xuan handed over a page from a book. Chu Xian took it and examined the detailed information of these 3 battlefields. He nodded in satisfaction, well done. Xuan continued, Master, the demonic beast cores of fire, wood, and thunder attributes that you instructed me to find have also shown some progress. If you wish, I can procure them for you now. Chu Xian waved his hand dismissively, leave it for now. He did not directly mention his need for the thunder attribute Python's demonic beast core but rather added fire and wood attributes to obfuscate. He believed in the loyalty of Xuan. The actions of this elder cultivator were sufficient to warrant 100-fold punishment from the Xuan family. His only concern was if someone discovered an issue with Xuan and used soul-searching methods to investigate him. After a moment of thought, Xuan flicked a large blood pearl over and handed Huang a medium-grade attack magic tool and a high-grade defense magic tool. Huang was greatly shaken. His nose twitched, eyes turning red. He knelt down directly, bowing deeply to Xuan. "Thank you so much for your reward. This old servant understands your intentions and will be even more careful in serving you in the future." Xuan smiled and nodded, "Very well." In the blink of an eye, he disappeared without a trace. Leaving Whitewater City, Xuan headed straight for the Ima Plains battlefield. Chapter 131, Condense the Netherworld Dao Foundation Plus, Turn Off Reset. The vast expanses of Wu Province were comprised of deep mountains and valleys. Scattered like pearls among them were the cities of the human tribes. Xuan used these cities as references to locate the three battlefields. He had once visited the Plains City, which lay closer to Jin Province in the west. To its southeast lay the Whitewater City. Ima Plain was situated in the central region of Wu Province. Xuan headed southward. Half a day later, he arrived at Ima Plain. Upon arrival, he marveled at the sight. Ima Plain had witnessed the deaths of countless mortals. From above, one could see the rising miasma of resentment and evil qi. The five righteous sects of the Yu Kingdom had long been unable to control the evil qi in various locales. Such a battlefield, heavy with resentment and malevolence, naturally attracted many demonic cultivators. To them, it was as if a mouse had stumbled into a rice barrel. However, the battlefield was vast, and the demonic cultivators were few. Thus, each tacitly claimed a territory without dispute. Furthermore, qi-refining demonic cultivators occupied the periphery of the battlefield. Those at the Foundation establishment stage were within the inner circle. Like wells and rivers, they did not interfere with each other. Xuan, exuding the aura of Foundation establishment, advanced unchallenged. He soon reached the inner circle of the battlefield. Before long, he noticed a skirmish ahead. At first glance, it seemed a group was ganging up on three individuals. Upon closer inspection, it was indeed a female cultivator controlling 5 corpse puppets, besieging 3 cultivators. The female cultivator handled them with ease. The 3 cultivators struggled to break through but could not penetrate the defenses of the corpse puppets. Xuan glanced over and couldn't help but smile. Interesting. This female cultivator was his former junior sister, Li Xiaoman. She was one of the few heirs of the corpse puppet sect. Su Ming once invited her to explore the ghost palace for treasures, but she declined. At that time, Xuan thought Su Ming was a fool, while Li Xiaoman knew how to seek fortune and avoid disaster. Indeed, she had survived. In the blink of an eye, 2 early Foundation establishment cultivators fell at the hands of the corpse puppets. The last one stood alone, hard-pressed to support himself, and was personally captured by Li Xiaoman with her evil demon claw, knocked out on the spot. It seemed she intended to capture him alive, to refine a powerful corpse general. The genuine version of this novel can be found on another site. Support the author by reading it there. Xuan had no desire to reveal himself in her presence. See the novelfire.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Wan Wuying was dead. The Extreming Cave was in name only. He and Li Xiaoman were only named senior brother and junior sister, without the substance of that relationship. There was no need to meet and reminisce. Who's there? Li Xiaoman was on high alert, scanning her surroundings. Xuan disguised his voice to sound like an old man. Young lady, this place is now claimed by this old man. Leave. A surge of late Foundation establishment energy vibrated through the area immediately. Startled, Li Xiaoman, with the Foundation establishment cultivator in tow, quickly retreated, saying, "Senior, please proceed, I shall not contend." She affixed a swift travel talisman to herself, and in the blink of an eye, she had vanished without a trace, fearing Xuan might pursue her. Xuan chuckled. She was a smart one. Such cleverness is what allows one to survive the longest. Unfortunately, Li Xiaoman's talents were mediocre. Unless she stumbled upon a great fortune, she would likely never touch the path of the golden core. Xuan swept through the inner circle of the battlefield, his late Foundation establishment aura unabashedly emanating. Wherever he passed, other Foundation establishment demonic cultivators fled at the sight of him. Soon, he was the only one left. He sought out the place where the aura of evil was the strongest, and with the chain, he created a large pit and buried himself inside it. Around him, he set up powerful mist and defensive formations. He then sat down in meditation, harnessing the resentment of 1,000,000 lost souls to condense his Netherworld Tao Foundation. Humming vibrations filled the air as the massive evil chi, as if drawn by a force, surged toward the center of the battlefield. In the blink of an eye, a massive vortex of energy formed, resembling a terrifying specter devouring the malevolence. In fact, this was the cunning aspect of the Netherworld secret core technique. The step of condensing the Netherworld Tao Foundation was disguised to appear as if a malevolent ghost was absorbing the resentful energies, thus deterring many curious cultivators. Malevolent spirits and wandering ghosts, alike, had no physical form, yet their offensive capabilities were formidable. And they struck directly at the soul. Few Foundation establishment cultivators could withstand such an attack. The demonic cultivators, scattered throughout the Imma-plane battlefield, felt a chill run down their spines upon seeing the massive, sky-reaching vortex of malevolent energy. One by one, they fled towards the outskirts of the battlefield. Demonic cultivators are adept at seeking advantages and avoiding disadvantages. At the slightest hint of trouble, they fled faster than anyone. After all, there were plenty of mortal battlefields. At most, the scale of deathly mortal energies could not compare to this place. It was better to go elsewhere to draw upon the evil chi. Why linger here, fraught with danger and risking their lives? Soon, the Imma-plane battlefield was deserted. Only some crows and vultures dared to swoop down and feast on the rotting flesh. Meanwhile, at the center of the battlefield, Xuan was frenziedly absorbing the evil chi. Beneath his crown chakra, an inch down, his Netherworld Tao Foundation gradually took shape. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. Time passed day by day. Until a month later, the cold, secluded Netherworld Tao Foundation was finally fully formed. At this moment, Xuan's spirit surged, doubling in strength. The entire Imma-plane was within his perception. He suddenly opened his eyes, his expression one of delight. The Netherworld Tao Foundation was established, and 100,000 souls were gathered. It was time to return to Blue Star to condense the Netherworld Soul Core. He immediately piloted the Green Shadow Shuttle to a safe location, and from there, he used the Blood Mirror to return to Blue Star. On the rooftop of the luxurious Haodai Hotel, with the ocean's expanse as his backdrop, Xuan took out the Myriad Souls banner and slowly released the 100,000 souls. These souls had almost no aggressiveness and simply stood still, looking blank and foolish. Xuan then proceeded to follow the method of the Netherworld Soul Core, activating his Netherworld Tao Foundation to absorb these souls. 1, 2, 3. The souls, unable to resist, became part of the Netherworld Tao Foundation. After absorbing over 100 souls, he felt a throbbing pain in his mind. He had to stop and completely refine these souls. What followed was a repetitive process. Absorb, refine, rest, then absorb again, refine again, and rest again. In the path of cultivation, time is inconsequential. The days spent condensing the Netherworld Soul Core passed exceedingly fast. In the blink of an eye, a year had passed. Half of the 100,000 souls collected by Xuan were gone. The Netherworld Tao Foundation was gradually transforming towards the form of a smooth, round core. Meanwhile, back at the Imma-plane battlefield, a figure, flying without aid, arrived above the battlefield. Chi refining and Foundation establishment cultivators needed magic tools to fly. Only those at the golden core level and above could fly unaided. The demonic cultivators below, upon seeing this figure, were immediately shocked and hurriedly fled. A golden core powerhouse had arrived, and whether for good or ill, fleeing was the best response. If it was a righteous powerhouse, they would surely annihilate these demonic cultivators. If it was a demonic grandmaster, the outcome could be even worse, perhaps casually using them to make blood pills or soul pills. Humph. A cold snort resonated from the sky, sounding like thunder. In an instant, all the fleeing demonic cultivators exploded into a mist of blood. Chapter 132, It would be best for you to serve me plus, turn off reset. The figure descended slowly, landing in the center of the battlefield where a huge pit was conspicuously present. Previously, many demonic cultivators had gathered around this pit. The visage of this figure was that of Han Luyun, but the soul housed within his body was named Xianxia. This battlefield wasn't formed recently, was it? Yet, a cultivator has already claimed it before me. To think that someone other than those from my Nether Dao sect dares to absorb the resentful energies of such a vast battlefield. Xianxia furrowed his brows. He did not ponder further nor linger. Instead, he immediately rushed to the next battlefield. His time was precious. Although he had devoured the golden cores, spirits, and flesh of numerous golden core cultivators in the Ghost Palace, he had only just returned to his peak state from years past. To strive for the nascent soul path, he needed to absorb the resentful energies of a battlefield where over 1 million had perished. I wonder who dared to absorb the evil chi before me. If I find out who it is, I'll make sure they meet their master in the Netherworld. With a cold snort, Xianxia departed from the place. In Blue Star. There was not a hint of breeze around Xuan, yet his robes billowed as if caught in the wind. An indescribable aura enveloped him, making it seem as though he sat there and yet appeared as if he was hundreds of meters away. In the next instant, he suddenly seemed very close. The 3 corpses scratched their heads, unable to comprehend the changes in their master. At one moment, a wild wind suddenly swept around Xuan. He abruptly opened his eyes. His aura surged at that instant, far surpassing the 9th level of Foundation establishment. Netherworld Soul Core, complete. Xuan was overjoyed. Now, he was no longer a mere Foundation establishment cultivator, nor could he be considered a golden core cultivator. He was something akin to a pseudo-golden core. Even so, he was now capable of completely overwhelming a cultivator at the 9th level of Foundation establishment. Even if more than a dozen such cultivators attacked him simultaneously, they would be like playthings in his hands. My spirit, it's overwhelming. Is this the sea of spiritual sense? I haven't officially become a golden core cultivator yet, but my sea of spiritual sense has already been prematurely formed. Stolen from Royal Road, this story should be reported if encountered on Amazon. Xuan felt the changes occurring within and outside his body, marveling at the transformation. Typically, only upon condensing a golden core would one sea of spiritual sense and spiritual sense be born simultaneously. The so-called sea of spiritual sense, to put it simply, is the dwelling place of the soul. Before its formation, the soul merely resides within the brain. Moreover, without the sea of spiritual sense, manipulating magic tools or telekinetically moving objects could only be accomplished through the extension of the soul's sense. This sense lacks offensive and defensive capabilities, having only the effect of controlling external objects. But now, with the sea of spiritual sense, this sense can be forged into a spiritual sense. Thus, the spiritual sense can become a barrier protecting the soul. Furthermore, after being tempered by secret techniques of spiritual sense, it can possess both offensive and defensive capabilities. This makes the soul much more secure. Xuan extended his spiritual sense outside his body, playfully manipulating this and that. He felt the novelty of a child with a new toy. Secret techniques of spiritual sense are possessions of golden core cultivators and are probably expensive. Currently, I have no means to acquire such techniques. Xuan tested the uses of his spiritual sense, then retracted it back into his body. As for the secret techniques, there would naturally be those selflessly devoted who would deliver them to his doorstep in the future. See the novelfire.net * website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Now, he had plenty of cultivation methods to master, so he wasn't in a hurry to acquire the secret techniques of spiritual sense. The 100 Refinement Sect, the Heaven-Burning Sect, and the Yu Kingdom sects are probably at their wits' end by now. Let's see how far they have progressed. I also need someone to help me collect thunder python cores. Xuan contemplated and entered the blood mirror. In central Wu province. Xuan piloted the green shadow shuttle northward for a while and soon spotted two qi refining demonic cultivators stealthily slaughtering a mortal village, obviously intending to practice blood cultivation. Just the two of you. With a gesture, Xuan's demon claw shot out, capturing the two in an instant. The surviving villagers, who had been utterly despairing and believed they were doomed, suddenly found that a more powerful immortal had passed by and captured the two demons. They immediately felt a deep gratitude towards Xuan. Thank you, immortal master. Thank you for rescuing us in our time of need. At that moment, their savior, the immortal who had saved them from dire straits, had already crushed the heads of the two demonic cultivators and casually thrown them into the tower. The current situation has somewhat exceeded my expectations. Fighting back and forth, it has actually resulted in a three-way standoff? The memories extracted from these two demonic cultivators left Xuan quite astonished. Xuan, with a smile creeping across his face, reflected on the current turmoil. Indeed, chaos such as this was a playground for demonic cultivators. The tripartite power struggle among the 100 Refinements sect, Divine Star sect, and the Heaven-burning sect had led to a no-man's land at the borders of their territories, where demonic cultivators roamed rampant. In such areas, whole mortal towns were often slaughtered. There's a small sect nearby called Black Dragon Mountain. Currently, it's been taken over by 3 Foundation establishment cultivators. The Heaven-burning sect, too preoccupied to care, turns a blind eye. This was a stroke of good fortune for Xuan, who had been looking for someone to help him find the Thunder Python Demon Core. He was confident these junior cultivators would soon realize their role in serving him. In the council hall of Black Dragon Mountain, 3 Foundation establishment cultivators gathered together. The gaunt old man chuckled wickedly. I say, we should go for a big score next. How about a blood sacrifice of an entire mortal city? The bearded brute slammed his hand on the table. Great. I like it. The nearby Whitewater city is poorly defended, it's the perfect target. The calm, pale-faced young man interjected, no, the Heaven-burning sect is currently consolidating their rule. It's best not to draw their attention. I think we should strike within the Yu Kingdom's borders. The Divine Star sect is busy eliminating the remnants of the mystical Sound Palace and Imperial Spirit Mountain. The loss or gain of 1 or 2 mortal cities won't catch their notice. The gaunt old man and the bearded brute both gave thumbs up. Excellent. We'll follow your plan. Just then, a voice unexpectedly rang out. No. I think it would be best for you to serve me. Chapter 133, Quick to Anger is no virtue plus, turn off reset. The voice came so unexpectedly that the 3 were startled. They turned towards the source of the sound, only to find no one there. It was as if a ghost had spoken. The bearded man bellowed in anger, who's there? Who's playing tricks? Suddenly, a sinister demonic claw materialized. With a loud pop, his head was crushed, and his headless body instantly fell to the ground, splashing the gaunt old man's face with blood. Quick to anger is no virtue, you are not suited to serve me, came the calm voice again. The gaunt old man's eyes widened in shock, and a hint of fear flashed through the young man's eyes as they finally saw who was speaking. It was a refined-looking middle-aged man, who at first glance appeared unremarkable. Yet, it was he who had effortlessly crushed a late Foundation establishment cultivator. Taking a deep breath, the gaunt old man asked in a grave tone, "Who are you, sir, and why do you come to Black Dragon Mountain to kill our vice sect leader unprovoked?" As he spoke, his hand subtly moved, directing a swarm of goo insects along the ground towards the refined middle-aged man. However, before the insects could get close, a crimson streak of blood flashed around the middle-aged man. The streak was like lightning, and the ground-crawling insects were instantly crushed into a mess of exploded corpses. The gaunt old man immediately suffered backlash, spewing blood and staring at the middle-aged man in shock. "And you, what will you use against me?" The middle-aged man turned to the pale-faced young man. Without hesitation, the young man knelt on one knee. "Xianxia, willing to serve you, senior." Seeing this, the gaunt old man quickly crawled over as well. Xianxia, also willing to serve you, senior. The refined middle-aged man smiled and flicked 2 insect eggs towards them. Eat these yourselves. After a moment's hesitation, they both swallowed the eggs. Given that the 3 were of similar strength and the bearded man was easily crushed by this middle-aged individual, it was clear that his cultivation was likely at the 9th level of foundation establishment. They stood no chance against him. In this situation, obedience was their only option. The refined middle-aged man was, of course, Xuan. He practiced the blood evil demon refining scripture, and any golden core cultivator could tell he was once a cultivator from the extremely Yin cave simply with their spiritual sense. Given his unique identity, it was natural for him not to align with any particular faction. Search the Nelfire.nt website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Black Dragon Mountain, conveniently located in a lawless area, was perfect to be under his control for personal use. Xianxia spoke respectfully. May I ask how we should address you, senior? Love what you're reading. Discover and support the author on the platform they originally published on. Before Xianxia could finish, Xianxia interrupted. What senior? We should call him master. Master, what do you require of us? Please command us. Xuan's smile was tinged with amusement. Xianxia was indeed clever. He was calm in crisis, letting others act first to test the waters. Now recognizing Xuan's strength, he did not hesitate to address him as master. Xuan spoke lightly. First, I want you to gather intelligence, big or small, every detail must be reported to me. Second, I need you to collect demonic cores from various Foundation establishment stage serpentine demonic beasts. From now on, Black Dragon Mountain must act discreetly and avoid drawing attention from major sections. Only the 2 of you are aware of today's events. Xianxia and Xianxia exchanged a glance and nodded respectfully. Yes. In the blink of an eye, Xuan disappeared. The oppressive weight that had loomed over them like Mount Tai vanished. They looked at the bloodstains left by the bearded man, still shaken. Moments ago, they had been discussing which city to massacre. In a blink, their companion was dead. If they had not caught the eye of that powerful individual, they might have ended up like the bearded man. Xianxia managed a wry smile. Brother Song, what should we do now? He had only wanted to take advantage of the 3-way standoff to carve out a share for himself in this chaotic situation. Yet before he could enjoy any respite, a significant burden had been placed upon their shoulders. Xianxia's eyes flickered. I do not know either. We can only take it one step at a time and, for now, follow his orders. He dared not say more, fearing their new master might still be listening. Inside a cave halfway up Black Dragon Mountain, Xuan withdrew his spiritual sense and chuckled. Xianxia was right, he had not left. Black Dragon Mountain was not extensive, and with his current spiritual strength, a slight extension of his spiritual sense could envelop the entire area. Detestable, is there no way to replenish our meat supplies? Xuan lamented softly as he gazed at the chunks of meat, which were significantly smaller than before. Since returning from Black Dragon Mountain, he had spent 2 additional years cultivating in the Blue Star, focusing solely on physical refinement. As a result, his physical realm soared, reaching the 20th layer of body refinement. However, advancing further to the 21st layer required an even more terrifying amount of meat daily. Even the regeneration speed of the meat blocks, enhanced with psionic cubes, couldn't keep up with Xuan's consumption rate. He was forced to pause his cultivation for several days, waiting for the meat to grow back before he could continue. This was intolerable. Far too slow. No news from Black Blade, they probably haven't found any more psionic cubes. Xuan shook his head. He had instructed Wang Gangjian and the others early on to search for more objects like psionic cubes. The agents of Black Blade were diligently searching, yet to no avail. It seemed that in the vast lands of the Han country, the only psionic cube was the one accidentally discovered deep within a mine in Science City. There might be psionic cubes in other nations of Blue Star, he mused. But I can't afford to search aimlessly like a headless fly. it would be too time-consuming. The task of gathering intelligence must still be left to Black Blade. Xuan pondered deeply. Today, Wang Gangjian, Wang Yong, Tang Jinchuan, and Song Dai of Black Blade had become the absolute core. With his assistance, the four were able to devour psionic cores unscrupulously, their levels skyrocketing to the 8th level of superhuman. Wang Gangjian, the leader of Black Blade, had even advanced to the 9th level. However, the concentration of psionics in the atmosphere of Blue Star continued to rise. Compared to when Xuan first arrived, it had increased at least 50-fold. Now, superhumans were ubiquitous, and extraordinary beings could be found everywhere. First and second level superhumans could no longer make a mark. Only 4th level superhumans were qualified to protect a region, and 7th level ones had the power to establish major forces. Wang Gangjian and his peers were merely ahead of other superhumans. But even a 9th level superhuman was nothing in Xuan's eyes. With the power of a pseudo-golden core and the aid of a flying magic tool, Xuan could soar through the skies unimpeded. But asking Black Blade's operatives to traverse oceans in search of traces of other psionic cubes was, perhaps, a bit challenging. It is well known that the behemoths dwelling in the oceans are far larger and more terrifying than those on land. Even with his current physical strength, Xuan doubted whether he could withstand the crushing pressure of thousands of tons of seawater to delve into the deepest trenches of Blue Star. Xuan surmised that he needed to advance his physical cultivation further, breaking through to the 21st layer, to qualify for deep-sea exploration. If such was his predicament, naturally, he could not expect the operatives of Black Blade to venture into the oceanic depths. The limitations of his subordinates were indeed a source of great frustration. Perhaps, my approach is flawed, he pondered. If humans struggle to traverse the vast seas, what about the zombies? This thought invigorated Xuan. With a flicker, he teleported to the farm where the zombie empress was energetically competing with the zombie matriarch. Although they were mother and daughter from one perspective, such familial bonds were non-existent among zombies. Competing with me for blood pearls? Then, you are not a daughter but a foe. The arrival of Xuan instilled immense fear in the zombie empress. It harbored a deep-seated fear of this human, despite being regularly fed blood pearls, elevating its psionic level to the 7th rank. Yet, its fear remained profound. I need you to produce a new type of zombie, Xuan commanded from above, looking down. One that can swim in water and send messages from afar. The zombie empress's eyes widened in panic. Such a demand. I cannot fulfill. Seeing its reaction, Xuan furrowed his brow. You can't do it? Then, perhaps you are of no use to me. Roar. Roar, roar, roar. In desperation, the zombie empress bellowed as if to shout incessantly, I can do it, I must be able to do it. Not far off, the zombie matriarch also roared, as if responding to Xuan's challenge. Very well, whoever among you first creates such a zombie will claim these 3 large blood pearls, Xuan announced calmly, displaying 3 large, lustrous blood pearls. At the sight of the large blood pearls, both the zombie empress and the zombie matriarch were frenzied. So, there were larger blood pearls above the smaller ones. They had to succeed. Xuan observed the zombie's burning determination and smiled satisfactorily. This was exactly what he wanted. The energy concentration in the large blood pearls far surpassed that of the smaller ones, akin to the relief of air conditioning in summer or a heater in winter. Xuan's motivation proved effective. Within just 2 days, the zombie empress had delivered a perfect solution. Xuan gazed at the peculiar life form before him, his expression one of astonishment. At first glance, this creation seemed to have no relation to zombies because it was essentially a small flesh boat. Inside, one could see mutated spines and ribs, as well as dark blue-black veins covering the entire body. The hands and feet had mutated into paddles, yet the bow prominently featured a head with its mouth agape, reminding Xuan that this indeed was a modified zombie. Find this and other great novels on the author's preferred platform. Support original creators. The zombie empress roared with high spirits, eagerly explaining the new product's capabilities to Xuan. To him, however, it was merely a series of expressive roars. Come here and listen. Then, explain it to me, Xuan said as he massaged his temples, summoning Hu. Yes, master. Hu nodded vigorously. After years of effort, Hu had mastered most common words, albeit still somewhat stilted and disjointed. But to Xuan, it was more than enough for everyday communication. Moments later, Hu respectfully spoke, Master, it says this thing is called a corpse boat. It can sustain itself while sailing, by catching fish or mimicking rotting flesh to attract and catch birds. It can also store meat on board to eat when hungry. Because it was produced by the zombie empress, it has Hu struggled for the right word until Xuan interjected, connection. Yes, connection, Hu exhaled in relief. Sar the novel_fire. At website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Xuan nodded, pleased. It really was quite impressive. The zombie empress roared proudly a few times. At that moment, the zombie matriarch also began to call out. Curious, Xuan walked over and laughed at what he saw. The zombie matriarch had also produced a new breed of zombie, but it had taken a different approach. Parasitic seed. These zombies were only the size of a fist, but despite their small size, they were fully formed. They did not need to hunt for fish themselves, they merely needed to parasitize large marine creatures and could travel wherever their hosts went, thereby spreading the parasitic seed across various parts of the ocean. This strategy was clearly more random, where they ended up was left to chance. Xuan nodded slightly. Both the zombie empress and the zombie matriarch had accomplished their tasks admirably. They had broken through the conventional barriers of their kind, transcended the confines of their previous forms, and positioned their products to revolutionize their ecological niche, a dimensional strike, one might say. In plain terms, they had done a splendid job. Xuan flicked his fingers, distributing the large blood pearls to both the zombie empress and the zombie matriarch. As they swallowed the pearls, they exhibited expressions of deep intoxication, like newborn creatures savoring the first nourishment provided by their mother. Soon, the first batches of corpse boats and parasitic seeds were released into the ocean. They would serve as the vanguard, gathering various types of intelligence from other nations on Blue Star for Xuan. Meanwhile, the immortal cultivation world of the Yan, and Three Kingdoms was experiencing minor changes. Xianxia and Qiantang reported that just 5 days ago, the 100 Refinements sect and the Heaven-burning sect had reached a non-aggression pact. Xuan remained unperturbed upon hearing this news. Recently, the Divine Star sect leveraged the power of the 100 Refinements sect to annihilate the mystical Sound Palace and Imperial Spirit Mountain, repelling the Heaven-burning sect and unifying the immortal cultivation world of the Yu Kingdom. Ideally, the Divine Star sect could have played both sides between the 100 Refinements and Heaven-burning sects, using one against the other to grow into a force capable of contending with either sect. However, disputes over territory had soured relations with the 100 Refinements sect. The purpose of this non-aggression pact between the 100 Refinements sect and Heaven-burning sect? Clearly, it was aimed against the Divine Star sect. Xuan surmised that the Divine Star sect's days were numbered. This was advantageous. Chaotic situations were always favored by demonic cultivators. As expected, within just a month in Mystic Azure time, Xianxia and Qiantang relayed continuous updates about the fall of the Divine Star sect, almost providing a live broadcast for Xuan. It began with the 100 Refinements sect and the Heaven-burning sect launching a coordinated attack overnight. Within a few days, they penetrated deep into the heart of the Divine Star sect. Then, within the Divine Star sect, 2 Golden Core cultivators originally from the mystical Sound Palace and Imperial Spirit Mountain betrayed at a critical moment, severely damaging the Golden Core elder who guarded the sect's protective formation. The sect's protective formation crumbled without being attacked. Sect Master Imo Huanshan and other Golden Core cultivators fell in battle. The nascent soul ancestor of the Divine Star sect fled for over 10 days but was eventually caught and executed by the ancestors of the 100 Refinements and Heaven-burning sects. Even his nascent soul was extracted. After dividing the numerous treasures of the Divine Star Sect, the 100 Refinements Sect and Heaven Burning Sect tactfully withdrew their forces simultaneously, turning the core region formerly occupied by the Divine Star Sect into a buffer zone between them. Thus, the tripartite balance was ended, and the immortal cultivation world of the Three Kingdoms entered a state of north-south duality. Time flew swiftly on Blue Star, and another 2 years had passed. The southern region of the immortal cultivation world is so vast. Xuan mused as he lay on a plush velvet lounge chair, flipping through the texts collected by Xianxia and Qiantang. Yan, Yu, and Yu countries together cover an area of 1,000,000 square miles, which is only about 1/3 of the southern wilderness. North of these 3 countries lies the Myriad Islands Lake, which occupies the remaining 2/3 of the southern wilderness. This lake is more akin to an inland sea, it seems. Despite being a golden core cultivator, capable of flight, crossing the southern wilderness was still a time-consuming endeavor. No wonder the major sects are so intensely competitive within this confined area. They simply cannot fly out. Fortunately, I don't have to get involved in their petty squabbles. Xuan chuckled lightly. With Blue Star as his backyard, he only needed to obtain techniques and texts from the southern wilderness to be satisfied. Most of his resources could be sourced directly from Blue Star, a truly inexhaustible supply, far from the strife of war. How splendid! According to the intelligence from Xianxia and Qiantang, the chaos within the southern wilderness of the cultivation world persisted. Neither the 100 Refinements Sect nor the Heaven Burning Sect was able to completely destroy the other. The intentionally vacant middle zone had now become rooted with 20 to 30 smaller sects, including many established by demonic cultivators. Naturally, no one openly claimed to be a demonic cultivator, they all professed to be orthodox cultivators, denouncing their enemies as heretics and deviants. Due to the inability of the 100 Refinements and Heaven Burning sects to effectively control this area, these smaller sects had thrived unchecked. Recently, following consultation with Xuan, Xianxia and Qiantang also relocated their sect to this area. They were previously situated at the boundary between the Heaven Burning Sect and the now-defunct Divine Star Sect. With the collapse of the Divine Star Sect, their location was naturally assumed under the control of the Heaven Burning Sect. To avoid being purged by the Heaven Burning Sect, they had to move. This lawless area suited them perfectly. Xuan rubbed his temples, feeling a bit melancholic. In 2 years, he had barely managed to advance his physical cultivation to the 23rd level. The supply of meat was simply insufficient, severely impacting his cultivation pace. When would he find another psionic cube? Just then, Bao dashed over excitedly, waving his arms and legs, seemingly eager to say something. Who always stood by Xuan's side, frowned at Bao's impudence and scolded, "Swallow the meat in your mouth before you speak." Bao paused, chewed a few more times, swallowed, and then grinned sheepishly before roaring excitedly. Unauthorized tale usage. If you spot this story on Amazon, report the violation. After listening, Hu said joyfully, "Master, there's news from the zombie empress. She encountered a fishing boat from the Xuanzi country in the Eastern Sea and sensed the fluctuations of primal psionic energy." Xuan's interest was piqued. Excellent. Finally, a trace of primal psionic energy. Over the past 2 years residing on Blue Star, Xuan had grown familiar with the overall situation of the planet. After the psionic burst, governments worldwide had nearly collapsed, with the Han country suffering the worst fate. Under mysterious circumstances, on the same day the psionic burst occurred, the auxiliary capital was obliterated by an explosion that created a crater over 10 kilometers in diameter. At that time, the emperor, along with numerous concubines, princes, princesses, and ministers who were summering in the capital, perished. None of the imperial direct lineage survived. The empire's imperial and regional armies fell into disarray, each fragmenting and aligning with various new leaders. Some regional forces invaded smaller countries to the south or southwest, establishing dominance there. Other continents also witnessed the survival of powerful forces, such as, Sir the Novel, F. Iyer.at website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The Xuanzi country, renowned for its craftsmanship. The Arctic forces, noted for their formidable military prowess and resilience against the cold. The Free Alliance, thriving in commerce and trade. The Holy Light theocracy, founded on religious principles. The regional powerhouse, the Harsha dynasty, among others. These formidable powers had established their unique superhuman systems and were actively exploring other regions. Xuan was not yet fully aware of the specifics of other forces' superhuman systems, but intelligence from the corpse boats and parasitic seeds suggested that Xuanzi's superhumans, much like those in the Han country, had awakened psionic abilities. They had integrated ancient mysterious arts and physical techniques to form a distinct superhuman system comprising psychic medium and warrior. The former excelled in ranged attacks and summoning, while the latter specialized in close combat. Geographically, Xuanzi was close to Han, separated only by a sea. Nowadays, people dared not venture into the deep sea, sticking to navigation along the continental shelf, which considerably extended travel times. This was why Black Blade found it challenging to gather intelligence from Xuanzi. "Let's go and see for ourselves," Xuan declared, sweeping his hand to beckon Hu and Bao, and they quickly reached the farm. The zombie empress roared excitedly upon their arrival. Xuan frowned, annoyed. "Keep it down, why so loud?" "Hu, you listen." Subdued, the zombie empress lowered her voice, and Hu relayed the message after listening. The corpse boat was captured by a warrior aboard a Xuanzi fishing boat. Before its destruction, it sensed faint primal psionic fluctuations. Xuan spread out a map and circled the East Sea. Since the fishing boats from Xuanzi would only dare to navigate close to the continental shelf, all he needed to do was follow it to locate them. His gaze sharpened. "We leave immediately." In the blink of an eye, Xuan was aboard his azure shadow shuttle, vanishing into the vast sky. Back at the Black Blade base, Wang Gangjian and the others watched the streak of blue light pass by, their faces filled with longing. They knew it was the trail of an immortal traveling through the sky. How they wished to one day soar through the heavens as freely as the immortals. Above the East Sea, vast expanses of azure waves stretched endlessly. A large fishing vessel carefully navigated along the continental shelf. Xuanzi, an island nation surrounded by sea, frequently faced attacks from mutated marine creatures. Additionally, given its small area, the number of extraordinary beings and high-level zombies was naturally limited. The proverbial cake was only so big, yet many were hungry for a slice. These factors compelled them to accelerate their expansion into other regions, including the neighboring Han country. They were willing to pay any price to set foot on land and escape the perilous sea. This fishing vessel, supported by the Xuanzi government, was headed towards the Han country. The ship was a mixed bag of characters. Some were powerful superhumans with government backing, tasked with maintaining order on board. Their ranks included individuals of the 4th level and above, with the strongest even reaching the 5th level. Most, however, were 1st or 2nd level. If they remained in Xuanzi country, they would likely never acquire enough psionic cores to advance their psionic levels throughout their lives. Their only chance was to smoothly reach the Han country, step onto that ancient and unfamiliar land, and try their luck. Inside the cabin of the fishing vessel was a slender, almost gaunt youth. Looking back at the now invisible islands of Xuanzi, a mocking sneer flickered in his eyes. "The rebels must still be searching for me," he thought. "None would guess that I've already secretly boarded this fishing vessel. If Xuanzi has no place for me, then I will rise in the Han country. When I return, I will push them into the abyss and personally kill the great general who betrayed the imperial family." In the youth's eyes flickered the flames of revenge. The damned general, once the most relied upon minister of the Xuanzi royal family, had secretly become a 9th-level superhuman. Leveraging the royal family's trust, he seized power and stormed the palace overnight. That night was etched into the youth's memory forever. His father, mother, brothers, and sisters all fell to the sword and flames. Whenever he recalled those scenes, His heart felt as though it was being ruthlessly squeezed by an invisible hand, a wrenching pain tearing through him. Suddenly, exclamations erupted from the deck outside. The great general above. There's someone flying in the sky. By the grace of the sun. Could that be the legendary god? He's flying towards us. Startled, the youth looked through the cabin window toward the deck and saw a figure in black, standing atop a beam of blue light, hovering in the sky above the heads of the superhumans. The youth's eyes widened. Superhumans with the talent for flight were rare and usually limited to short, low-altitude flights. Here in the open sea, from where could this person have taken off? How could he sustain flight for so long? One of the superhumans on deck pointed at the azure light, growling warily, "Which country's superhuman are you? Come down here." The figure in black hovering on the azure light was naturally Xuan. Hearing this, he couldn't help but laugh. "It seems I've found the right vessel. This is indeed a fishing boat from Xianxia." The language spoken by that superhuman was not of the Han, but a tongue Xuan had never heard before. "He's from the Han country, shoot him down. He's the enemy." Several government superhumans emitted low growls as they converged from all directions. Among them, one took advantage of Xuan's back turned towards him and launched a sudden attack. A peculiar talisman slipped from his grasp, hurtling towards Xuan's back. However, in an instant, Xuan caught the talisman with a single hand. He glanced at it, a smile of interest playing on his lips. The talisman was marked with complex, vivid red patterns. "This tail has been unlawfully lifted from Royal Road. If you spot it on Amazon, please report it." At first glance, it bore a resemblance to traditional talismans, yet upon closer inspection, it was incredibly crude, akin to child's play. Presumably, this was a talisman used by the psychic medium of Xianxia. You. The superhuman was visibly shocked, having not expected Xuan to so effortlessly catch his long-planned sneak attack. His face was a picture of astonishment. "Dare to ambush your superior, you deserve death." A roar erupted. A towering, dark figure swiftly streaked past. When the onlookers turned their gaze back, they were met with a headless corpse. The head had been twisted off single-handedly by a massive man. "Exterminate them all, no need to waste provisions," Xuan said casually, waving his hand dismissively. "Yes." Who bellowed in response, darting out alongside Long and Bao. Wherever they passed, limbs and bodies were strewn about, quickly giving rise to a gruesome storm of blood and carnage. Xuan, walking as if in a leisurely stroll, headed towards the ship's cabin. He expanded his spiritual sense to fill every corner of the fishing vessel. He could feel the fluctuations of primal psionic energy within the cabin, though they were not as intense as the psionic cube he had encountered before. They felt significantly weakened. The youth swallowed nervously and instantly activated his talent. His speed surged to the extreme, and in the blink of an eye, he had reached the bottommost layer of the cabin, hiding amidst a pile of disordered cargo. In his mind, he chanted, "You can't see me, you can't see me." Xuan uttered a light intrigued. Search the ovalfire.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The youth who was emitting primal energy had managed to reach the lowest level of the cabin in the blink of an eye. Was that his talent? An ability for high-speed movement? With a light step, Xuan moved across the deck, one moment stationary, the next several meters away. The cabin was bustling as many Xianxia natives surged out. Hidden among them, warriors and psychic mediums seized the opportunity to launch stealth attacks. However, reaching Xuan proved to be a formidable challenge. As he passed, those who attempted ambushes clutched their throats, blood streaming from their mouths, collapsing one after another. Soon, he reached the very bottom of the cabin. "No need to hide, come out," Xuan called out casually, looking at a large pile of barrels. Rustling sounds emerged from within, and a young man, his face marked with fear, crawled out to face Xuan. Surprisingly, he spoke in fluent Han dialect. "My mother was from Han, please, do not kill me." Xuan's smile was enigmatic. "Whether I kill you or not is irrelevant. What were you fiddling with behind your back? Startled, the youth's expression quickly turned ferocious. He abruptly pulled out his hands, launching 2 talismans through the air. Mid-flight, the talismans burst into flames and instantly transformed into 2 ferocious, green-faced ghosts, one attacking from the left, the other from the right, lunging towards Xuan. Xuan raised an eyebrow, amused. The talismans appeared to have effects similar to the Tiger Soul and Wolf Soul talismans. Yet, such attacks hardly necessitated any magical defense from him. Before the ghosts could even reach him, a radiant halo of Buddhist light emerged spontaneously around him, and a wheel of merit slowly revolved behind his head, casting him in the semblance of a descending Buddha, a saintly figure suspended in the air. The ghastly apparitions collided with him and immediately burned into wisps of blue smoke with a pitiful wail. The youth watched, dumbfounded. Those talismans were his strongest assets for this journey, and yet they failed to penetrate Xuan's defenses. Xuanzi had its share of Buddhist temples. So, he recognized at once that this was indeed the light of Buddha. How could such a deadly man possess such profound Buddhist radiance? Could Buddha truly bless such a person? No more thoughts were necessary, nor could they form, as Xuan had already employed a soul-searching technique. Within minutes, he saw the entirety of the youth's life laid bare before him. The youth collapsed, his eyes vacant, his expression blank. Xuan arched an eyebrow in surprise. He had inadvertently captured the 8th prince of Xuanzi, the sole survivor of the imperial family after the general's rebellion and massacre. Had he unknowingly extinguished the last flicker of Xuanzi's royal bloodline? HSS, it's no big deal, eradicated just like that, Xuan murmured, stroking his chin nonchalantly. The youth, now reduced to a state of stupefaction, was known as Xuan Deo. Xuan, a surname of the Xuanzi royal family, and Deo his given name. After perusing his memories, Xuan discovered that the young man had never come into contact with a psionic cube. Yet, there lingered a faint aura about him, an aura that was gradually fading. This suggested that from a young age, Deo had grown up alongside a psionic cube, though the cube might have transformed its form of existence. It seems then, the most likely location for the psionic cube would be the Xuanzi Imperial Palace. A light of realization sparked in Xuan's eyes. It seemed a visit to Xuanzi was inevitable. Well, he thought, let it be a journey then. Xuan returned to the deck, which by now had become a true ship of death. Not a soul survived. Every resource from their bodies would be utilized to perfection. The diligent worker bees would carve the flesh into small chunks, consuming it and through multiple processes, regurgitated as blood honey. The souls would be captured by the myriad souls banner, serving as nourishment for malevolent spirits. As for the bones, well, sometimes the corpse puppets found them particularly appealing. Xuan recalled the corpse puppets and the blood bees back into their respective tower and beehive. He then boarded the Azure Shadow Shuttle and continued towards Xuanzi. The kingdom was approximately 1,000 kilometers from the Han country. With the speed of his green shadow shuttle, it would take only 2 hours to reach Xuanzi. Xuanzi, Sun City. This city was the oldest in Xuanzi, unmatched in its antiquity. Just a glance upward would reveal the snow-capped Mount Sun. However, no one considered it a serene peak. It was, in reality, a dormant volcano. Many believed that one day it would bring destruction to Xuanzi. At the heart of Sun City lay the Imperial Palace of Xuanzi, home to the unbroken line of the Xuanzi imperial family for thousands of years, a family revered by the people of Xuanzi. Many believed the royal family to be divine, the beloved children of the great deity Sun, which justified their unbroken lineage. However, not long ago, the general launched a rebellion and annihilated the royal family. Since then, the general moved into the palace. This act stirred massive upheaval throughout Xuanzi. Loyal royalists frequently attacked the new government regime, and while many publicly remained silent, there was widespread, simmering hatred toward the general, believed to inevitably invite divine retribution from the sun. Even if heavenly punishment had not yet arrived, it would surely descend upon the government one day. Some even whispered that the missing 8th prince would one day return to cast the sinful government into an abyss with no end. This book is hosted on another platform. Read the official version and support the author's work. At this very moment, atop the highest point of the imperial palace, a burly man stood bare-chested on the balcony, hands clasped behind his back. Since annihilating the Xuanzi royal family, he had resided at the pinnacle of the palace, as if to suppress the spirits of the thousands of wronged souls of the royal lineage. He was the government general, Gui Yongren. Below the royal family of Xuanzi were four major families, Gui, Long, Yu, and Hong. Yu family had always been a staunch royalist and had been secretly eliminated by him before his coup. Their power and territories were swiftly consumed by the Gui, Long, and Hong families. "Why do you stand here every day, great general?" A woman, similarly unclothed, approached Gui Yongren from behind, her laughter tinkling lightly. Gui Yongren responded calmly, "I am waiting for news." The woman nibbled on his earlobe, her breath as sweet as an orchid, waiting for that missing eighth prince of the Xuanzi royal family? Gui Yongren shook his head with a smile, "No. That eighth prince, short-sighted and unstable, even if he did escape, he is no match for me. I am waiting for news from Hong. I want to know why the Xuanzi royal family had access to psionics before the burst. That is what I am most curious about." As Gui Yongren was about to continue, something caught his eye, a streak of azure light across the sky. What is that?" He furrowed his brows. The woman followed his gaze and gasped upon seeing a dark figure atop the azure light. "There's someone up there." Gui Yongren's eyes widened in recognition. Indeed, it was a person. "Immediately send word to Long and Hong family, have them come here," he commanded with a grave tone. "A big guy has come to the palace." "Yes," the woman nodded. Within the Xuanzi imperial palace, Chu Xian strode purposefully in a specific direction. Before setting out, he had brought the psionic cube with him. These unique artifacts seemed to possess a strange attraction to one another, instinctively seeking to merge. Chu Xian didn't even need to sense the direction, the psionic cube was guiding him. "Who goes there? Who permitted you entry into the palace?" a guard shouted fiercely. Without hesitation, Chu Xian breezed past them. The guards, roaring in anger, attempted to intercept him but found their bodies suddenly weak, collapsing to the ground in a heap, silenced in an instant. Those who tried to stop Chu Xian all met the same fate. Soon, he arrived at the palace's rear garden, adorned with intricately designed rockeries and an artificial lake. "It's here," Chu Xian's eyes brightened as he sensed the familiar aura. "Who are you, and why do you trespass in our palace?" a cold voice called out ahead. Chu Xian looked up to see a man nearly 3 meters tall approaching with large strides, his physique reminiscent of a small giant. The man's muscles were impressively defined as if he had been sculpting them from a young age. Xuanzi language was not difficult. With Chu Xian's intellect and wisdom, he had grasped most of it after hearing it just a few times. Hence, he understood the man's words clearly. This muscular giant was the strongest warrior of the Hong family, Hong Jian. His brow furrowed as he sized up the black-clad youth. For some reason, he sensed an extremely dangerous aura around this stranger, even more daunting than the general, Gui Yongren. Was it a misperception? Or intuition? Hong Jian did not know. However, one does not truly know the strength of an opponent until they clash. Hong Jian, an 8th-level superhuman, considered himself among the mightiest in the world. Even if the stranger before him was formidable, surely he could spar a few rounds with him? Chu Xian, observing Hong Jian's robust form, couldn't help but chuckle. "Had it been when I first arrived on this planet, a body like yours would have been the perfect material for crafting a corpse puppet. Now, however..." Before he could finish, Hu blurted out eagerly, "Master, who wishes to fight?" Chu Xian chuckled, resigned, "Let the feast begin." "Yes." Hu charged forward. The master seemed interested in this man's physique. A new corpse puppet could mean a shift in his master's affections. This was no mere rivalry. Strong measures had to be taken. Sarthanafire.at website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Before Hong Jian could react, whose towering and muscular form had already dashed forward. With a thunderous crash, Hong Jian's head burst open like a watermelon, his blood and brain matter mixing with fragments of his skull, scattering wildly. Some bone fragments even embedded deeply into the stone pavement, a testament to the terrifying force of whose punch. Nearby, Long Meiji, who had hurriedly arrived upon receiving orders from Gui Yongren, witnessed the scene and her eyes widened in shock. Hong Jian was a powerhouse focused on physical prowess. Even before the global spread of psionics, he was renowned as Xuanzi's most celebrated judo master and strongman. After the psionic burst, his innate talents catapulted him to the status of the strongest warrior in Xuanzi. In terms of physical strength, even Gui Yongren, a 9th-level superhuman, was slightly inferior to him. And yet, what kind of monster was this dark, hulking man who could shatter Hong Jian's skull with a single punch? Long Meiji halted in her tracks, swallowing hard. "Aren't you coming over? Why have you stopped?" Chu Xian turned around, addressing the voluptuous woman several hundred meters away with a faint smile. Without hesitation, Long Meiji turned and fled. Chu Xian chuckled lightly. "Bao, take care of her." With a monstrous laugh, Bao's figure vanished in the blink of an eye and reappeared right in front of Long Meiji, startling her as she swallowed yet another gulp of fear. Her speed, which she had always prided herself on, enhanced by 2 speed-boosting spirit companions, was supposed to be her strong suit. Yet, she had been caught up. Long Meiji knew that fleeing was no longer an option. Only by fighting could she possibly survive. "Giant fireball," she bellowed, forming hand seals swiftly, and released a massive fireball that almost completely enveloped Bao. This was her innate talent, control over fire. Though many possessed this type of ability, she had developed hers to an unprecedented level. With just a thought, she could alter the fire's size and shape, even shaping it into vivid forms like firebirds or firewolves to attack her enemies. But not content with just that, Long Meiji immediately channeled more psionic energy into 4 talismans, sealing off all directions around Bao to trap him completely. Such measures should make it foolproof. Long Meiji sighed in relief, thinking she had played her final card. The man before her couldn't possibly escape and would have to withstand her attack directly, giving her a chance to escape. This narrative has been unlawfully taken from Royal Road. If you see it on Amazon, please report it. Suddenly, she felt a chilling sensation in her chest. Looking down, she found a blade wreathed in cold flames piercing through her ample bosom. Wasn't he supposed to be sealed by me? In her final moments, confusion flooded her mind. Why had her meticulously crafted talismans failed to restrain this enemy? Search the Ovalfire.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. She couldn't have known that Bao possessed an innate ability called Shadow Step. Unlike spells learned by cultivators, the innate abilities of a corpse puppet didn't require casting, gestures, or even the consumption of spiritual qi, and could be activated in the blink of an eye. Long Meiji's talismans had only just been deployed and were still mid-air when Bao used Shadow Walk, appearing behind her. What she saw was merely an afterimage left by his high-speed movement. With a roar, Bao grabbed Long Meiji's body and triumphantly returned to Chu Xian's side. At this moment, Gui Yongren, surrounded by a host of psychic mediums and warriors, faced Chu Xian from a distance. His gaze immediately fell on the headless corpse of Hong Jian, causing his pupils to shrink in shock. Bao dragged over Long Meiji's body as well. In that instant, a deep terror swelled within Gui Yongren. What kind of formidable foe had suddenly appeared before him in the palace? Gui Yongren steeled himself and said gravely, "Friend, what exactly do you seek in my palace? Speak freely. Whatever you desire, I can provide." Chu Xian shook his head. "It seems you still fail to recognize the disparity between our strengths. Song Junjia understands the times better than you." Seeing the situation turning against him, Gui Yongren let out a low growl, his body emitting an endless surge of dark energy. In an instant, it formed a grotesque and ferocious ghost with 2 heads and 4 arms, each arm wielding a powerful weapon, a ring pommel saber, a vajra, a steel mallet, and a trident. Gui Yongren tossed a small orb to the ghost, which it swallowed immediately, appearing quite satisfied. This is Xuanzi's strongest spirit, the four-armed Vajra, a 9th-level entity, Gui Yongren declared. Friend, you must be aware of the four-armed Vajra's terror. Let's each take a step back, and the vast sky and sea can be our witness. Everything that happened today can be erased. Xuan cast a glance at the so-called strongest spirit, the four-armed Vajra, and a look of surprise flickered across his face. Interesting. This spirit was essentially a fierce ghost, but its potential far exceeded those within the myriad souls banner. Many ghosts, even after consuming numerous living souls and evolving into ghost generals or kings, might not possess even a single lifebound ghost artifact. Yet, this ghost not only wielded lifebound ghost artifacts but brandished 4 from the outset, a clear sign of its value for cultivation. Given sufficient living souls, its potential was boundless. With this thought, Xuan's smile widened. He plucked a living soul from the myriad souls banner and tossed it in front of him. Want to eat? The four-armed Vajra's eyes widened. It had never encountered such pure soul energy. Even when it hunted humans on its own, it could never extract the living souls completely and had to consume them bit by bit. This living soul was like a lavish feast laid out before it. However, the four-armed Vajra merely inhaled deeply a few times, then put on a defiant expression, as if determined not to be swayed. Xuan's smile grew as he effortlessly drew out 10 more living souls from the Great Souls banner and casually threw out a fierce ghost as well. The ghost bared its teeth, ready to attack, but Xuan restrained it, leaving it to stand confusedly in place. Xuan casually proposed, "Follow me, and you can feast on living souls every day to your heart's content." He then pointed at the bewildered ghost, adding, "And you can become as strong as this ghost." The four-armed Vajra's eyes bulged. The enemy was using such sweet temptations to corrupt it. How could this be allowed? Was it truly resistant enough to withstand such corruption? Of course not. The four-armed Vajra roared a few times before swiftly turning to face Gui Yongren. The 4 weapons it wielded were abruptly raised. Gui Yongren's eyes widened, and he instinctively stepped back. You can't attack me." He protested, "We have a contract. We are partners." A scream suddenly pierced the air. The four-armed Vajra launched into a furious assault. Gui Yongren's soul was struck heavily and was soon gasping for survival. Only then did the four-armed Vajra casually trot over to Xuan's side, squatting at his feet, looking up at him with the demeanor of a devoted dog, who watched this display with displeasure. Another competitor for favor, he thought. Xuan's lips curled upwards. "Well done, you deserve a reward." He extended his hand and forcefully patted the top of Gui Yongren's head. In the blink of an eye, he had extracted the general's living soul. The four-armed Vajra, seizing the opportunity, leapt forward and tore Gui Yongren's soul into several pieces, stuffing them into its mouth and savoring each bite. Xuan surveyed the surroundings. There were still some psychic mediums and warriors around, but they all stood there, dazed. It was inconceivable to them that their omnipotent and invincible general had been betrayed by his own spirit and had his soul forcefully extracted by this formidable stranger. "Keeping them is just a waste of provisions. Kill them all." Xuan waved his hand nonchalantly. The 3 corpse generals immediately sprang into action, while the four-armed Vajra also laughed maniacally and plunged into the crowd. Screams filled every inch of the palace. Moments later, the palace was laid to waste. Every superhuman had been consumed by the blood bees, soon to be part of the blood honey. The living souls were extracted by Xuan and thrown into the myriad soul banner. He planned to use the myriad soul banner specifically for storing living souls, serving as food for the four-armed Vajra and other fierce ghosts. Soon, the four-armed Vajra voluntarily approached Xuan. Without much effort, Xuan planted a psychic imprint in its mind, ensuring it could never escape his control for all eternity. Seeing the appeasing expression on the four-armed Vajra, Xuan couldn't help but chuckle. He suddenly felt a pang of sympathy for Gui Yongren. After all the effort to negotiate an equal contract with the four-armed Vajra, it had been swayed by mere sweeteners in an instant, devoured Gui Yongren's living soul, and obediently entered into a master-servant contract with Xuan. Fortuitously, Gui Yongren had already perished. Otherwise, witnessing this scene would have been worse than death itself. The narrative has been taken without authorization. If you see it on Amazon, report the incident. At that moment, the four-armed Vajra suddenly leaped up, gesticulating wildly as he danced. Of course, Chu Xian could not comprehend the vividly expressive body language. Without a word, he communicated directly with the four-armed Vajra through telepathy. Do you mean to say there is another malevolent spirit like you beneath Mount Sun? Chu Xian eyed the four-armed Vajra, his face a mask of surprise. This was indeed fortuitous. Such a spirit of exceptional talent should not be buried in obscurity. However, the psionic cube must be found first. Chu Xian gazed towards the artificial hill. With a mere thought, the evil soul chain tore through the air. In an instant, the hill was smashed to smithereens. Countless fragments flew in all directions. This artificial hill, constructed of cement, was exceedingly sturdy. It was also covered with various mosses and small green plants. Rarely would anyone smash such a structure. Search *the novelfire.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Moreover, this was the Imperial Garden's rear. It was even less likely for someone to harbor malevolent thoughts towards the artificial hill. If not for Chu Xian's actions, it might have remained undiscovered for centuries that something was hidden within this hill. Chu Xian's spiritual sense swept forth. With a gesture, he grasped a piece of cement in his palm. With a casual rub, the hard cement crumbled into ash in a moment. Revealed before Chu Xian was another corner of the psionic cube. It too emitted a strong primal psionic energy. Chu Xian retrieved another piece of the psionic cube from his storage bag. Instinctively, the two pieces merged together. In the blink of an eye, a larger, yet still incomplete psionic cube appeared before him. It was perhaps only a third of the original size. But the primal psionic energy it emitted was now far greater than before. The surging vitality within it, even from merely a few breaths, quickened one's blood flow. Excellent, excellent. Chu Xian's face broke into a satisfied smile. His goal for this journey was finally achieved. Casually, he stuffed the psionic cube into a piece of zombie flesh. The zombie flesh immediately expanded at a visible rate, ultimately becoming a perfectly square block of flesh. Let us go to Mount Sun, declared Chu Xian, securing his corpse puppet and the swarm of blood bees, and immediately took flight towards the dormant volcano. Mount Sun, a slumbering active volcano, bore a deceptive beauty with its snow-covered surface, beneath which boiled magma at temperatures ranging from 700 to 1,200 degrees Celsius. The malevolent spirit would naturally not reside within the lava. In fact, there was a mountain path leading directly to a cavern beneath Mount Sun, a route disclosed by the four-armed Vajra. Before long, Chu Xian arrived beneath the cavern and discovered an ancient, decaying shrine. Before he could speak, the four-armed Vajra leapt out from the myriad souls banner, clamoring loudly towards the darkened shrine. What's all this noise? Don't you know I'm trying to sleep? Eh? Four Arms, is that you? Did you come to complain about not getting enough to eat at Gui Yongren's place? I told you when I divined last time, that guy was a penniless, short-lived ghost. How could you ever be satisfied following him? Just so you know, I don't have many soul beads here either, I can spare you just one. Wait, your sudden visit is suspicious, let me divine something first. A figure swiftly darted out, talking incessantly to the four-armed Vajra, but upon noticing something amiss, quickly pulled out a water dish to commence divination. However, mid-divination, it caught sight of Chu Xian standing not far off, and its expression turned to one of bewilderment. Chu Xian then saw clearly. It too was a malevolent spirit. Humanoid in appearance, but its legs were replaced by a serpent's tail, distinctly bizarre. The four-armed Vajra continued to animate and passionately recount everything that had happened. The serpent-like malevolent spirit looked towards Chu Xian in astonishment, then down at the divination results in the water dish, and went pale with shock. Before the four-armed Vajra could speak again, it dashed in a blur towards Chu Xian. Are you not the long-lost father I've been searching for all these years? Father. From now on, I, 2 arms, shall follow you. Xuan clicked his tongue. He had thought to discipline this creature first, carrot and stick. Instead, the spirit immediately prostrated itself, a turn of events that was indeed quite unexpected. You are very sensible, Xuan said with a smile. Father, I've been waiting for this day. Good, Xuan nodded in satisfaction. He then looked at the compass in its hand. What is this? 2 arms responded earnestly, this is the water divination plate. Ever since the day my spiritual intelligence was awakened, it has been in my hand. The same goes for 4 arms' 4 weapons, they were with him from birth. Xuan nodded slightly. The life-bound ghost weapons that come with ghosts from birth are usually those they had in life. It was likely due to an obsession too pure that part of their soul condensed into the form of these ghost weapons. Like 4 arms, Xuan also effortlessly completed the spiritual imprinting. From then on, this pair of ghosts became his ghosts. Go on in, there's plenty to eat inside. With a casual wave, Xuan threw 2 arms and 4 arms into the Great Soul Banner. Though they were of strong aptitude, their level was too low to be directly thrown into the Myriad Soul Banner. The Great Soul Banner was filled with non-aggressive souls, perfectly suitable for their meal. Once everything is settled, it's time to return. Xuan took out the green shadow shuttle, stepped onto the wind, and vanished into the vast sky in the blink of an eye. Days later, news of the palace attack and the mass death of superhumans stormed through like a tempest, sweeping across the land of Xianxia. Some cheered loudly, believing that the 3 families, Gui, Long, and Hong, had angered the great deity Sun and brought disaster upon themselves. Others desperately searched for the missing 8th prince of Xianxia, hoping to restore him and re-establish the Xianxia imperial family. There were also impostors claiming to be the 8th prince, attempting to enter the royal household. Chaos permeated every inch of Xianxia's land. Endless battles spread unabated. At this moment, Xuan was once again seated atop the rooftop of the Houtai Hotel. As he replenished his body with meat, he practiced the giant elephant body refining technique, tempering his flesh. After merging 2 psionic cubes, the regeneration of his flesh significantly accelerated. This allowed Xuan to swiftly practice the technique without having to pause for days to wait for his flesh to regenerate on its own. His body refining realm soared once again. Over the year, his cultivation leaped to the 27th layer of body refining. In terms of physical strength alone, he could now withstand a blow from a lower-grade magic treasure without sustaining a scratch. At this rate, I could reach the 30th layer of body refining in another 2 or 3 years, Xuan mused, smacking his lips. You could be reading stolen content. Head to the original site for the genuine story. The giant elephant body refining technique could only be cultivated up to the 30th layer, where one's body could rival a mid-grade magic treasure. The technique, which even the golden core cultivator Xianxia had failed to perfect, was about to be mastered by him. He wondered what expression Xianxia would have if he knew. Let's continue practicing then, until reaching the 30th layer before re-emerging. Xuan calmed his mind and continued to develop the particles within his body. 3 years later, Xuan's body refining realm naturally reached the 30th layer. All 360 million microscopic particles in his body were transformed into titanic particles, making his physique as strong as a mid-grade magic treasure. With a casual strike, he could shatter a lower-grade magic treasure. Of course, the claim of having the strength of 360 million ancient titanic beasts with every gesture was a bit of self-aggrandizement by the giant elephant body refining technique. Xuan was aware of this. Time to return to the cultivation world. With my strength at the 30th layer of body refining, I should have a slight advantage against golden core cultivators, right? Xuan smiled. When the Heavenly Seal sect was annihilated, he was merely at the late stage of foundation establishment. Now, he had reached the pseudo-golden core realm, and his body refining had attained the 30th layer. In the southern wilderness cultivation world, such cultivation was sufficient to dominate among those at the golden core level. Black Dragon Mountain. Xuan returned here once again. Song Junjie and Qiantang reported recent developments respectfully. It had been almost a year since the 100 Refinements sect and the Heaven-burning sect had established a non-aggression pact. Dozens of smaller sects still existed in the area between the two sects. Someone had proclaimed themselves as the 100 Sects Alliance. This name quickly became the collective term for all the small sects in the middle zone. Song Junjie continued, Master, currently the strongest among the 100 Sects Alliance are the True Martial Sect and the Heavenly Sword faction. The True Martial Sect is guarded by 2 Golden Core Cultivators. The Heavenly Sword faction has 1 Golden Core Cultivator. Recently, both the 100 Refinements sect and the Heaven-burning sect have considered absorbing the 100 Sects Alliance but have hesitated due to fear of each other. I've heard that both the True Martial sect and the Heavenly Sword faction are considering uniting all the small sects to resist the 2 major sections. Xuan nodded slightly. The matters concerning those 3 Golden Core Cultivators had already been reported by Song Junjie and Qiantang. These 3 Golden Cores had escaped from the Divine Star Sect, Mystical Sound Palace, and Golden Fragon Temple. Due to their relatively weaker strength, they had managed to avoid being targeted and thus escaped. The strongest among them was only at the mid-Golden Core stage. Now, within the 100 Sects Alliance, they naturally dominated, uncontested by anyone. However, upon hearing Song Junjie's words, Xuan couldn't help but laugh. Uniting into one force was not difficult, but after uniting, was their real intention to resist the 2 major sects, or was it to play both sides to glean benefits? Any somewhat intelligent cultivator could guess the thoughts of those 3 Golden Core Cultivators. The trend of major sects absorbing smaller ones was inevitable. Setting aside other factors, just considering the 2 nascent soul elders from the 100 Refinements sect and the Heaven-burning sect, how could the vast gap in strength be bridged simply by uniting the 100 Sects Alliance? Qiantang added, also, the True Martial sect said that to counter the 2 major sects, they planned to send people to collect spirit stones, magic tools, talismans, pills, and so forth. Qiantang gave an embarrassed smile. They've already come twice, but their demands are too high, and we've never been able to meet them, having put them off twice already. Judging by the time, they are likely to come again today. Do you have any ideas, Master? Song Junjie spoke up sharply. Old Qian, what are you suggesting? Do you want our master to give treasures to those Taotai? This sort of matter should be something we handle on behalf of our master. Qiantang quickly covered his mouth, his voice filled with panic. Master, I misspoke, please punish me. Xuan's expression was one of amusement and sarcasm. SAR the novel, ir.nt website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. These 2 were indeed playing their roles in a coordinated act. From the looks of it, Song Junjie and Qiantang clearly did not want to give anything up and were planning to kick the responsibility to him to resolve the situation. Just then, a booming voice suddenly resounded from the sky outside. Fellow Taoists of Black Dragon Mountain, I have come again. The previous 2 times, you both said you needed time to gather treasures. Now that it's the 3rd visit, surely you can't still have nothing to present. If that is indeed the case, I will have no choice but to report this matter to the 2 Golden Core Elders of my True Martial sect for their judgment.